We know the Democrats are the enemy, but I haven't had Trump call me. I missed his call a few times, but I haven't had Trump call me in 6 months. Wouldn't care if he called me every day. I'm not going to cuss. I will tell Trump that you really betrayed your family and your name and everything you stood for with this horse manure. And I'm not ashamed of backing Trump because in my spirit, I knew that he meant well, but they have broken Trump. That raid on his lawyer, the FBI, if you've got a bank account wrong or ever filled out a bank deposit wrong, they call it wire fraud under federal law. It's totally out of control. They went in there and they raided his lawyer. That's unconstitutional. And they got that. Nothing to do with Russia. And they got his bank records. And now the globalists have got Trump by his huevos. Well, you know what the globalists told me? You better roll over. We're going to take your kids. The globalists told me we're going to kill you. The globalists told me we're going to sue you. You know what? They're a bunch of scum. I didn't roll over. And it's not because I'm the biggest, baddest guy in town. It's because I realized bowing down to scum like that's the death of me and my family. And, you know, I thought of Trump as a bigger man than me. But you know what, Trump? Alex Emmerich Jones is bigger than you. Because when the push came to shove, you put your tail between your legs, and you crapped your pants. It doesn't mean I hate your guts, but let me tell you ever call me again, I'm going to tell you I'm ashamed of you. Because you got General Mattis that thinks he's a frickin' Emperor Palpatine with that whole intellectual act going on. And you got Dumford and these people all shaking hands and proud of themselves. Because the whole Obama-Hillary plan to destabilize the Middle East and their whole filthy Arab Spring run by Saudi Arabia to overthrow moderate countries and put jihadists in that murder Christians and women and put girls into slavery and throw gays off buildings. And you think I like leftist gays and their damn agenda? I still think of a gay guy or a woman, anybody getting thrown off a roof for what they do sexually is tyranny. I may have the liberal gays loving the Islamicists and trying to kill me, but, you know, I don't want them to be thrown off a building. And I just look at you and what you've done, you make me want to throw up. So the media has tried to sue me and threaten my family. And God, I've been told if you'll just turn against Trump, all the pressure will stop. But see, Trump was real on the TPP and globalism and the tax cuts and everything. But when he did this in Syria, unless I'm shown absolute proof with Assad shooting the chemicals off himself when he doesn't have a motive, he was winning, the Russians were pulling out, Trump was pulling out, victory was there, peace was breaking out. There's no way I'm wrong. My gut tells me they raided Michael Cohen. And who cares? Trump never said he didn't like women. Trump never said he didn't have 6, 7, 8 girlfriends they paid off. Hell, you don't think I don't already know all that stuff? I don't want to get killed here by some CIA head team. I'm not going to release stuff that isn't already out, but I mean, what do you think Roger Stone did? He wasn't a beard for Trump sucking cock. He was a guy that would go out with Trump in between marriages and would, you know, go out with the girl Trump was dating. I heard that. I read it in a newspaper. I didn't hear from Roger Stone. There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding-dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen. I never sucked any ding-dongs. But I'll tell you, if they were going to blackmail me to start World War III about one, I'd say, hey, I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden hose.
Didn't you already tell Der Spiegel that?
No, the son of a bitch walked in there in my own office when I'd splattered stuff on myself and I was changing shirts. He goes, oh, that's a good shot. Let's get your shirts. And then he goes, I go, hey, have some of this chicken and sausage. So technically I said, Jones offered me his sausage. Yeah, give me a break, you son of a bitch. I like women, not men. And if I like men, I'd be proud of it. I'd have a line of them. But I ain't ever been in bed with no man. I've been in bed with probably 300 women. And you sons of bitches sit there and you play these games, and I'm sick of it. So, that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a scorned woman with Trump betraying us, but if I don't see absolute proof, I don't see satellite, if I don't see all the documentation. I mean, here's the bigger issue, and I should have said this right up front. When we all, an hour ago, heard the word in Hall, I asked back up here to the office, Daria, Marcos, all the rest of the crew. Intellectually, I'm trying to think about where Trump hadn't sold us out. And I want to believe, but you know what? I'm not a schmuck. On DACA, on tax cuts, on everything they said he betrayed us on the wall, I knew it was BS. But not on this. They thought I was like some dog-like supporter of the president. I was a dog-like supporter of the truth. And I wonder how they took him when Rand Paul knows it and Ted Cruz knows it and the CIA knows it and all my sources know it. We broke all this 5 years ago. That we attacked Russian forces that were invited in by the West in a deal 5 years ago to kick ISIS's ass, and the Russians followed their word. That's a fact. I worship the truth. To pull out a few weeks ago, and most of the Russians had pulled out of Tartus, the naval base, and all the rest. And then Trump's action is to let Israel or the globalists, I'm not anti-Israel, but Israel does dirty stuff. I'm not anti-Israel, but Israel does bad stuff, just like America does. And all the evidence points towards Israel doing this because Netanyahu's in political trouble. And then they bomb those military bases and kill all those innocent heroes that fought ISIS and Al-Qaeda, that Obama and Hillary crapped out of their big, degenerate, filthy asses. And I'm not trying to cuss here. They had to even stop me going live here on our local TV affiliates because, man, I am pissed right now. I know all the facts up one side and down the other, and I have been raped. And the people dying in Syria have been raped. And this is just a forte of how the neocons can manipulate the president into anything they want, and that's so wrong. We got Zach, who's a known former Army intelligence. He's been in the newspapers. He's been on TV. He's known to me who he is. He's involved with the Geospatial and Space Command and a great source, just like Steve Pachenik, one of the founders of Delta Force, is on today. And I'm going to get Pachenik, if you guys can call him, get him on after Zach. But Owen Schroyer, without me even calling him, knew to show up here. And if you just joined us, hundreds of cruise missiles, hundreds of bombs. Here, let's put drudgereport.com back up on screen for everybody. I'll read the headlines for people. Russian Navy chief threatens U.S. warship near Syria with torpedo attack. We have no fear. That's the insane level we've reached. Blast reported in Syria. This is an hour and a half ago after Trump announced his attack on Monster Assad, who launched the chemical attacks, when it's John McCain's little butt babies, Al-Qaeda and ISIS, that launched the attacks. Trump announces missile strikes against Syria. Let's get that video ready. Blast reported in Syria. The latest blast from airstrikes in Damascus sky orange as our government bombs for Al-Qaeda and ISIS that Trump talked about Hillary being the founder of ISIS. I'll never violate my integrity or your integrity. I will tell you what I think. Now, could I be wrong? It's about one chance out of 100. God, I wish I was wrong. But Sky News abruptly ends segment when former head of British Armed Forces questions Syrian gas attack, says it was a false flag. Owen Schroyer, you're patiently sitting back before we go to Zach talking about this. Trump getting us out of TPP, pulling us out of globalism. The globalists were his big enemies, but they raided his lawyer. What did he think? There was no Russian collusion, but there was payments to corporations, payments to banks, payments that are just part of business that they could spin as undeclared. And like a big old fat dead seal floating around in the South Pacific with its big old fat belly up in the sky, it looks like Trump's rolling over. So when Trump rolls over, we don't just drop him like a dead shoe, like an old shoe. We got to think what comes after that. But you know what? We brought Trump on this wave. he didn't bring us. And I keep something in reserve, but knowing ISIS launched these attacks, knowing they've been caught before, knowing Syria didn't have a motive, knowing Russia was pulling out, knowing Trump said a week ago he wanted to get out of Syria and was going to do it. I mean, how obvious is this? And I remember talking to a liquor store owner and a pizza store owner about the Gulf War, the second Gulf War. They said they sold more liquor and more pizzas than they sell in a week during that. But I don't think America's the same way anymore, like it's a video game, where they're going to sit back and go, oh, look at those Syrians and Russians getting killed. Oh, yeah, them evil Russians that went to fight ISIS that our own Pentagon invited in when Obama wouldn't do it. And I see that dirty devil Obama and Hillary and Brennan and all them trying to get rid of Trump. That's why I support him. I see him like going the way they want. And let me guess, don't you know next week they'll be on his ass even more? Owen Schroyer, what do you think? I think Trump probably got given fake intelligence, got told, got shown the facts, that it was all made up like WMDs in Iraq, because we know the facts. I want to try to salvage this, but I've got to be honest with the listeners. I've been defending Trump when they say he sold out when he didn't on DACA or the Second Amendment, because I had the inside baseball and we were proven right. But on this, my gut's never wrong. And I think they compromised President Trump. And as good as he was, if he keeps down this road, he's as good as dead. I'm not saying I would hurt him. I'm saying he's a dead man. He's no longer alive. And all the pseudo-intellectuals who are so weak and so pathetic, it looks like they won. Owen Schroyer.
Well, when I was watching the news coming in, it's funny how you talk about Americans not taking it like a movie anymore. Because when I was tuning into all the news stations, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, A, they all have a different story. But B, they kind of were treating it like a TV show. And it was kind of strange to me because when
look, we just, flashing lights.
Yeah, flashing graphics and developing maps. And then they have the whole press conference live. We're giving you live updates on us bombing people. And when I first saw it and I was reading the original reports, it looked to me like, okay, maybe Trump's having a tactical strike that's going to hit the rebel bases, the Obama, McCain-backed bases. And so that was my faith. And then when they started rolling the video and showing all the like 17, 20 sites that he's bombing now, and it's just like, okay, wait a second. Now you're showing it on live TV.
It's all the Assad bases that kicked the hell out of Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
They're doubling, tripling down.
These are
on
Obama
the chemical attack by Assad.
These are Obama strikes.
It's the same difference.
This is what Obama wanted.
That Trump said he was bad for not doing.
Trump should just come out and say, yeah, I had a bunch of girlfriends. We don't. But no, they got him, man. He's compromised.
Well, I don't think. I don't think the Russians are going to stand down, though. I don't think that's going to.
Well, they need to, because
I don't think they're
morally they have the high ground, and we don't want a nuclear war. And I got 4 children, Owen. But yeah,
that's the only reason why they wouldn't. But I don't know. I kind of think they're going to.
Well, you're being racist. I think the Russians should just let missiles kill. You know they've killed Russians. Hell, as Pompeo yesterday said, we've killed hundreds of Russians. It's like this, you know what, measuring contest. And I'm not a Russian, but I don't I've killed lots of Owen Schroyers. It's chicken behavior. It's chicken, you know what dimension? Chicken, S-H-I-T dimension.
So we now live in a reality where you've got a almost 2-year-long investigation of Trump colluding with Russia while he is about to go to nuclear world war with Russia. So that's now our reality here in America.
Because they use the investigation to go after his lawyer and somebody that's got $20 billion in companies, $100 billion leveraged. I mean, it's not even corrupt, but you get a mistake on a bank ledger with the FBI, it's over. And then Mueller, he's our new god. So how about when the whole Earth's nuked?
Just give it to Mueller.
Put a statue of Mueller up.
Just give it to Mueller. He just gets the Earth. I mean, he's using all its resources to bring Trump down.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. They tried to take my children because I supported Trump, and I basically got told, even in the news, you turn on Trump, we won't take your kids. And I had them go after all my sponsors and had them fake tests on our products, and they got private eyes following me around. But, Trump was doing the right thing, so I saw him attacking him, so I stood with him. So when I turn against Trump right now, it's not because they put pressure on me. It's because the pressure is doing the right thing. Donald Trump is 2 inches from being dead to me.
How many other news outlets just did a 34-hour live broadcast trying to stop this world war from happening?
Oh, I just watch Facebook, Twitter, and Google. I'm not just, you know, normally you have hundreds of thousands per feed. They just blocked us. And that's the thing. There's like these weird soy boys that are like cramming fire hydrants up their rear ends. I don't care if you do that. And they're sitting there like mad at us because we're alpha males. We're trying to stop a war. And like when we do it, they're like pissed. Fine then. Screw it then. Fine. I'm done. I mean, I'll keep doing the show and doing all this. But, man, New Zealand's looking better and better where all the globalists have already moved because the public just doesn't want freedom. And, you know, I think we failed Trump. And I'm not giving Trump a defense. We didn't defend him enough, killing TPP, bringing the economy back, all this. Congress should have arrested Comey and all these guys with all their corruption. And I doesn't give Trump any. Here's the thing. I wasn't looking for a reason to throw Trump under the bus. The fact that they were persecuting me for him made me stick by him. But just because Mattis talks quiet and says he read, anybody that tells you they read philosophy and they're real smart, and I read Mattis's writings, and it, you know, it's 100 IQ shit. Delay that. I know we're on TV stations. It's 100 IQ stuff. And it just makes me sick. Just because he's got bigger bags under his eyes than George Soros doesn't mean he has a right when the Russians and our own military were 10% of it. We lost hundreds of military. It talks about that. I know people that have died. I know people personally that have died. And I remember growing up hearing about, oh, your cousin died in a helicopter crash. It was like, yeah. And I would hear what actually happened. And now it's all been crapped all over. Our military came awake 5 years ago. They said no to backing al-Qaeda and ISIS. We crushed them. We worked with the Russians, just like they helped us in Afghanistan. And then they just sat back on and they said, I mean, can we pull up the latest news? Or let's pull up DrudgeReport.com, Infowars.com. Drudge always has the latest news. I know we got some reporters, too, but not nothing like Drudge. Drudge is 24 hours a day. I mean, let's see what they've hit. Let's put it on screen, Plummy, for TV viewers. Let's see what they've done. Yeah, Alex Jones live. They've got a link on Drudge right there. I didn't even know that. And you got missiles raining down, all this crap. And let's read those headlines. You scoot that over so I can read it? Sorry. Trump orders strikes in Syria. Claims proof of gas attack. Blast in capital. Syria launches counterattack. Syria abruptly ends segment when former head of British Armed Forces questions the mission. Yeah, because he loves his freaking kids, man. I mean, I feel like I just had my best girlfriend break up with me. And the left will make jokes, but this ain't funny, man. Go back to the video. Go back to the article. God. That they can break anybody. Fox News has it live, MSNBC. Oh, and I'm going to try to cover some of this news, but I'm not being a drama queen here, but I was basically told by the Democratic Party, and it wasn't even done officially. They were just like, you know, stop supporting Trump. And it's the opposite of what my ex-wife says. She says, you know, oh, the system took the kids away from me. No, you got the kids back because of who I was part of the time. And then they sit there and they're like, you know, if you just turn against Trump, things will be better. But he was doing good, and that's what makes it so bad. Oh, and that's what makes it so bad. If he'd have been a piece of crap from the beginning, it wouldn't be so bad. But we made so many sacrifices, and now he's crapping all over us. It makes me sick.
So you think it's over for Trump? I mean, where do we go from here?
Yeah, he's not a Russian agent. Those damn casinos and all of it. Of course, there's something there.
They're still going to try to impeach him,
No one can run that and have it perfect. It's not the nature of it.
See, but here's the thing.
So we let Mueller and these ass people crawl up his rear end and do this. So I guess we let this happen. We let them do this. The Republicans let them do this. You know, I'm not defending Trump, but you know what? We let this happen, Owen.
No, the American people let this happen when they let Mueller run rogue for a year and a half without answering to anybody, with the full force and will of the government behind him for no reason.
Anybody that doesn't World War III is a goddamn Russian. I'm not a frickin' Russian, man. I want freedom.
But now they're not going to stop coming after Trump. So even though he's
he
rolled
can nuke
over,
Russia, and they're not going to stop.
Yeah, so there's no
never
winning.
enough unless we put dirtbag Hillary in and worship that ugly goddamn piece of... The point is, Syria was heroic fighting Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And our own military did the right thing 5 years ago and said no to this. And now Trump is so against the wall, them accusing him of being a Russian, that he thinks he can blow up a bunch of bases. You know they killed Russians. The Russians are saying nothing. Under international law, they could attack our ships. They said they would. They didn't. That will only encourage the globalists to start more stuff on the Russian borders like Ukraine. This is only going, just like Putin has said, it is going to encourage Libya and Iraq and Syria and Egypt. It is only going to encourage Crazy Town.
And they still want to spread the fake news that it was Assad that did it, and everybody in America is going to watch the television news and completely buy it, and they're going to get behind this, and they have no idea how they've been duped into World War III.
Yeah, I support Trump on tax cuts and sovereignty and everything else, but I just... You know, I know he brought Bolton in. He believes in his advisors, but God almighty, I believe Roger Stone when he said, get Roger on. We go to Zach right now. Is Zach still there? I remember Roger going, don't worry, he's an apparatchik. He'll do what Trump says. You know, if Russia was still communist, if Russia was still anti-God, if Russia was doing all this and we did this, I'd be all for it. Russia is out from under the globalists. And I feel like a schmuck right now.
You know what, Alex? If you feel like a schmuck, I hope all the people out there that have been crying Trump Russia for a year and a half and just watched the deep state remove the first American president in my life, then they should feel like a schmuck. I totally
agree. I'm hurt by Trump. But the liberals and all, they're just scum. They're so bad. And they love war. They're just so evil, man. They are so evil, Owen.
They don't have feelings, though, so they won't. That's why they pretend to have feelings. That's why they try to base everything they do off emotion, because they really don't
They know
have
we
emotions.
have feelings. Prompt press conference, Mattis address. Yeah, we're going to do it in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
let's go to Zach. And people say, oh, tell us your source. Oh, media doesn't give you your source. Zach has been in Army Special Operations Command. He's been involved in Space Command, Geospatial, all that. Zach's coming on. I don't even know Zach's view. We'll see if he agrees with us where this is. Zach's been on TV, radio. He's a well-known name. His first name is Zach. The media hasn't published it because they don't want to give us credibility. But this isn't like some WikiLeaks or something you can't prove. Zach's real. Zach, am I wrong? I mean, or what do you say about this geopolitically, this threat of world war? What if the Russians strike back? I should be harping on that. What do you say?
Trump has just plastered his name on the side of another building. But sadly, it happens to be the brick and mortar of the military-industrial complex, the same military-industrial complex that Eisenhower and Kennedy warned of. This is bad, bad news. I'm just leaving McDill CENTCOM, and the drums of war are beating as hard as they've ever had since 2003 in Baghdad and the shock and awe. This is bad news. This is really bad news. Everything you're saying is true. It's sad to hear it come out of your mouth. It was sad to see the news. I sent the text message and the email to Nico. We knew that they were going to come out with the false flag information that compromised deep state-backed Assad forces on video. We're going to do something that would push Trump's hand. You see,
well, you said that months ago. Look for a false flag in Syria. We can pull it up. So you're saying they even had people dressed in Assad forces. That's what forced Trump's hand.
And these decisions were made out of 666 Fifth Avenue, not 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It has everything to do with Jared Kushner.
Well, let's be honest. We're not anti-Israel, but there are elements in Israel that are under major pressure. And you're saying Jared Kushner.
Well, Jared Kushner happens to be the senior advisor to the President of the United States of America. Jared Kushner has no military experience. Jared Kushner has no defense experience. Jared Kushner has no geopolitical experience. But Jared Kushner happens to be in Saudi Arabia, all of the Gulf states, in Israel making deals, wheeling and dealing. But it happens to be.
And we know the Saudis, which I want to be friends with, they've been meeting with Israel. What are the pressure on Netanyahu to do this? Because that's what CIA sources told me today, that this was probably going to come. Zero Hedge had a great article, 6 reasons Trump will strike it. I mean, Assad, forget Assad. He was a reformer compared to his dad. The West attacked Syria with al-Qaeda and ISIS, and Trump was right. Our military's greatest moment was, you know, in the last 50 years was 5 years ago, saying they wouldn't be part of that, Zach.
Well, let's just get to it, and we could pull the video up as I'm
Yeah, lay it out, because you're a great source.
And this is it, and then this is very problematic. I don't care, though, because the kinetic implications of this are so catastrophic that I don't think people understand. It's no coincidence that this happened on a Friday night into the weekend in the early hours in Syria there. What occurred is overwhelming and historically reprehensible. This is it. When Donald Trump made the address to the nation, just watch him. He's reading as if he's a hostage victim being threatened to read script.
By the way, guys, get ready when Zach leaves. Pull up Trump's statement on this.
I totally agree with that. I noticed that.
It's not his regular cadence. He's reading directly word for word. We should have been alarmed when he doubled, and we spoke.
So let me ask you, have they, from your sources, because I know who you are and we have other sources, did they carry out a coup? Are there guns to the president's head right now?
Yes. Unequivocally.
Politically or physically?
Both. Both physically and politically. Politically with some damning sexual things that who cares? Just own it. Who gives a damn at this level? But also physically because, like we said, he has plastered his name on the brick and mortar because he's a big real estate guy. He plastered his name on the brick and mortar of the military-industrial complex. The last individual to truly stand up to that complex had his brains blown out. In Dallas, Texas. So
and then that's the problem is every time you roll over, not to the military, but the criminal elements that run it, who the whole military hates, every time they flush you down the toilet as an act of power. The only way you stand against them is not going along with them.
And the only way to really get to Trump is through his family. What he's accumulated, what he is, who he is, it's family and it's wealth. It's treasure and family, period. And so they finally got him.
What does that do with Michael Cohen raid? I agree. I think they flipped Trump.
Well, right before the Michael Cohen raid, you see the issues of him double-crossing Sessions, saying if he knew he was going to recuse himself, he should have brought it up, basically losing faith in him publicly, which all this other alt-right and QAnon community said, trust Sessions, trust Sessions, trust Sessions. We said 4 months ago, Sessions is compromised. Tillerson is compromised. Haley is compromised. We have the clips. We're on air talking about it, and nobody wants to listen about it because they take QAnon as gospel, and it's a problem. And now you were
trying to be nice about QAnon, but I can confirm who you are and my other sources. I talked to, I'm not bragging about this, I talked to 6 high-level intelligence operatives in D.C., and they said, this is bad, what Trump's doing. He may have been flipped. And I didn't want to say that because they weren't sure. Everybody is really freaked out right now.
When he double-crossed Sessions duly, and I agree, he should have done it, absolutely should have been done, but we've been calling it for months. And then Bolton came in, started cleaning the house in the national security team. This was big problems. And I sent the email to Nico because the chatter was out there. The false flags were out there. 60 Minutes ran the piece months ago of Assad coming out saying, hey, why would I do this? This is suicide. I'm not doing this. Have we learned nothing from Hussein, Saddam I? Have we learned nothing from Gaddafi, Muammar? Have we learned?
So let me ask you this. How compromised is Trump? He probably got shown fake intelligence, got stampeded into this. I don't want to fully abandon him over it, but we can't sit here and play patty cake with him about this. This is one of the most upsetting things in my lifetime. From your sources, Zach, you know, which you're a great source for viewers tuning in, what does this signify? Drudge has you linked up there right now. What does this signify? Because, I mean, we know Assad fought al-Qaeda and ISIS. We know this is wrong, what's happening. We know Syria isn't trying to attack Israel. I'm pro-Israel. I'm pro-everybody over there. I want everybody to have their own country. Why is this happening? Who was behind it? Pachenik was on today and said Israel. You know, he's Jewish. He said Israel is behind this.
Well, like I said, these decisions were made, signed, and delivered at 666 Fifth Avenue. Jared Kushner.
But Kushner's Chinese commie-controlled. So I'm not trying to just pick blame. I'm just going to, is it Israel? Is it China? Is it the Easter money? Who is it from your intel?
It's so tied in at an interpersonal level. Kushner has the golden goose. Kushner is the husband of Ivanka. Kushner is everything. Listen, when you
no, I know, but everybody blames Israel, and I'm not defending Israel, but it looks like Kushner's more Chinese.
It's not about
from your intel, is Kushner more Chinese-controlled or Israel-controlled?
Both. He is military-industrial complex controlled. He is controlled by the highest bidder, and the highest bidder happens to be Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states at this point. Israel,
exactly.
China.
And that's why Israel's been meeting with the Saudi prince. Well, everybody's been, yeah. All right, well, Zach, you're a really smart guy. Then instead of me interrupting, give us your data dump, what you think's currently happening, what this means about Trump. I'll still support him on taxes and stuff like that, but I feel like I got raped in the you-know-what.
I know. I understand. And this is difficult for people to comprehend and understand. But we have to understand, if you put yourself in his shoes, if you put yourself in anybody's shoes like this, a man's morals become very malleable when your family, wealth, lineage, and future is on the line.
No, I get it. And his family is compromised, which is the same thing, Pachetic.
Look at them. You guys are going to listen. In the coming hours, when people wake up in the morning, all the sheep, all the people, all these individuals who have no idea are going to wake up to shock and awe and say, ha, ha, he, get distracted, go to Chick-fil-A in the morning, go do something trendy. And then on Monday, it'll be talking points, and the world goes on as usual. But that's
you guys got to go to Infowars.com/show. So we're just doing live feeds.
Not going
No, I'm just looking at them.
Well, no, I'm sure they're pissed. They got to go to the site to hear all this.
They can't hear this.
They should hear all this stuff. Yeah. We're just trying as best we can, folks. We're not perfect. Well, Zach,
we have to understand, Russia has dedicated and invested 6 years of blood, sweat, and tears to have global peace become a actual,
well, that's my next question.
Reality.
I'm not a Russophile. I'll stay there, Zach. I'm going to give you the floor in a minute. So hold on. I'm not a Russophile, never been to Russia. But just as you say, they fought al-Qaeda. They fought radical Islam. They fought on their borders. They did all this. They came in and helped us. Now they're being attacked. It's a total sellout. So what do you expect Russia to do? Talk about what Russia did. Finish your point. And then they said they're going to strike back. Will they strike back? I mean, they have every right under international law to strike back. But at the same time, they've not struck back so far, which shows major restraint. What the hell's going on where Trump said Hillary and Obama funded ISIS and al-Qaeda, they're the founders of ISIS in Syria, and now he's bombing for them. What do we do as viewers and listeners? Go ahead.
This is the ending of a chapter. This should be perceived the same as any historical book has ever been read. We are not subject or different from historical relevancy.
That's right.
This is an empire. This is a complex. This is a period on a kinetic timeline that has been problematic and flawed from the jump. And what has just occurred, and how can we get really what happened on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? How can we really know what's going on with Trump? But when they raided the White House, Sessions was double-crossed, and Bolton came in, there was an obvious switch in the tweets, the text, the narrative, and the rhetoric coming from
it was like somebody else took over Trump's Twitter.
Yeah, and I could tell, I'm telling you.
Are you saying the president's hostage?
Watch the video. That's all I could tell you. Watch the video.
Get that video ready on Trump tonight.
It's
well, Zach, you've been nothing but a good source, and I know who you are. Are you saying the president's hostage?
I'm on the ground on the most effective area of operation when it comes to special operations and intelligence networking in the planet today, period. I'm right outside of McDale Air Force Base, and the drums of war are beating harder than they ever had. This is not a joke. This is not a game. The national security and the President of the United States are under threat, without question. This is just out of character. If not, he's been drugged. If not, he's been threatened. I can't get into certain speculations, but the troop movements, the kinetic algorithms that have already been triggered, this is so problematic. And the fact of the
Trump may have been under mind control, actually.
Listen to me. Watch the video. Compare it to others. You know him personally. Obviously, we've all had conversations and looked at him. Just watch. He's an older man. And the only
I saw the video driving in. You guys have Trump's statement an hour and a half ago? Let's play that and get Zach's take on this of the Nowens. Here it is. Folks, I'm not trying to be dramatic here. I'm fearing for my own family right now, and I just think about the leftists that hope for the failure of
If you happen
America.
to be in Russia, if you happen to live in Russia, if you happen to live in the Middle East, if you happen to live in the majority of the world that has to happen to be 350 million people within the beautiful country that we love, what the hell do you think is going to happen? What the hell should your reaction be if you happen to live in Russia?
Yeah, well, the Russians go kick al-Qaeda's ass and ISIS, so then we bomb them? I mean, this is unbelievable. But we have no memory, though. That's why they do it. Here's the president. We'll go back to Zach. Here it is. And if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, on these feeds we did earlier, you just got to tune in.
Right off the script. Check it out.
Infowars.com/show. We'll go back to you, Zach. Here's that clip of the president.
My fellow Americans, a short time ago, I ordered the United States Armed Forces to launch precision strikes on targets associated with the chemical
He never looks
weapons
head up like that.
capabilities
He's head up.
of Syrian
the eyes.
dictator
Go back to it.
Bashar al-Assad. A combined operation with the armed forces of France and the United Kingdom is now underway.
Well, Trump's
We thank
now a
them
fraud.
both.
So, yeah.
Tonight, I want to speak with you
Done.
about why we have taken this action. 1 year ago, Assad
His
launched
right eye looks
a
crazy.
savage chemical weapons attack
Oh, yeah, the last three were
against
staged.
his
God.
own
Oh.
innocent people.
And he used to, I mean, look, he knows all this. He tweeted about it. Don't go into Syria. Don't go into Syria.
Let's go back. Back it up. I agree, but I'm interrupting. Back it up at the start.
Syrian Air
Back it up at the
Force.
start. We're starting again. I'm going to shut up. So's Owen. I apologize. I'm as bad as Owen is.
Americans. A short time ago, I ordered the United States Armed Forces to launch precision strikes on targets associated with the chemical weapons capabilities of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. A combined operation with the armed forces of France and the United Kingdom.
The left will claim
now
blowing up
underway.
Russians is like to help them.
Thank them both.
God, the left makes me
Tonight,
sick.
I want to speak
They
with
really
you
are the ones that did
about
this.
why we have taken
God, I'm sick of them. Man, I'm just done, man. I'm done.
Assad launched a savage chemical weapons attack against his
Hit
own
pause.
innocent.
No, he didn't. There's no proof. Show it. Show it, you goddamn liar. Excuse me. It's true. Man, the Russians came in there at our behest. They defeated ISIS. They did 90% of the work. I'm not a Russophile. I'm a truthophile. That happened. ISIS is running around. Europe's open to the Muslims. Russia's fighting it. And he just says Russia did the chemical attack. That is a lie. This is the first time I've seen Trump, because everywhere I check it, what the hell, Owen?
I don't know. I don't think he believes what he just said. I don't think for 1 second he believes that. How could
Well,
he
show
not
me the
understand that?
proof, asshole. And that's not a violation of FCC. But, I mean, I'm getting really angry here right now. Finish up with it right now. Go ahead.
Against his own innocent people. The United States responded with 58 missile strikes that destroyed 20% of the Syrian Air Force.
Oh, great. It's fighting al-Qaeda.
Assad regime again deployed
He's now
chemical
the buddy of al-Qaeda.
to slow.
Hit pause. Back it up. He said Hillary's the founder of al-Qaeda. Well, you're now the butt boy of al-Qaeda, Trump. You now give them fluffer, services. I mean, I'm serious. I will not sell out the truth. I will not sell out who I am. So screw you. Oh, and I'm serious, man. This is BS. I'm really freaking pissed right now.
Well, I think the scariest thing is I don't believe Russia's going to stand down. I mean, I think Russia's going to strike someone somewhere. It's probably
Russia
gonna be us.
is Christian now and is free market, and they went and kicked the radical Muslims' asses, and they're doing it everywhere. God almighty, I wish our government was like that. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's all biblical, so, just get ready, folks.
Here's the thing, man. I'm not a scorned woman. But, Owen, we have maybe Trump in 3 or 4 days will disprove us. Maybe there's some weird wrinkle I don't get, but blowing up a bunch of Russians and Syrians that have fought so hard makes me feel like a piece of crap, man. I feel like a piece of filth right now. I feel like filth. I feel like filth. I never feel like filth. I don't like feeling like filth. I've given up everything in my life to be a good person, and I did everything for this guy, and now he has sold us out. What the hell, man? And that frickin' Stephen Colbert. he's all for wars. He loves it. And, you know, all this stuff. He's against war when Bush does it, but now that Obama does it, he loves it. And Trump, it's just the left. How are we bullied by these people calling us Russian agents to go back Al-Qaeda and ISIS when we should be having ticker tape parades in New York down Main Street for the Russians and U.S. troops?
He talked about doing that, but...
I know people that rotated through Syria and died this year. I know 2 people. Like Pachenik said today, they got all these helicopter crashes and stuff. I know 2 people that died in combat this year in Syria fighting Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And now, what do you... I want to go back to Zach. Zach, you two, Owen. What do you think they've got on the president? Zach, what caused this?
What caused this was kinetic reality of the momentum of the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned of and felt, obviously, that John F. Kennedy received kinetically, and that anything less than what Donald Trump did today would have been received as a political assassination to him, his family, and severe detrimental repercussions to the economy and individuals within the United States.
So they said, you do this or we're going to blow your freaking head off.
Blow your freaking head off, blow the economy's freaking head off, and blow the majority of the fallacy that is the perpetuation of the military-industrial complex backed reality that's been going on in this country. This is what Ron Paul, Rand Paul have backed for so long. This is what Donald Trump tried at his best, because I believe it was genuine. In fact, I know with firsthand knowledge that it was genuine.
Yeah, but here's my problem, Zach. Once he starts rolling over, to that Vice President Mueller, God, there's just no end to these scumbags. Why do we give in to the weakness? Why do we give in to such scumbags, Owen?
I don't know. We all had faith in Trump. We thought that he would be the one. He stood up to it. He stood up to the political correctness. He stood up to all of it during the campaign. But, you know, when you think about the military-industrial complex, you think about the power. I mean, who knows? They could have threatened to nuke the United States. So you better, you know, do this or we'll drop a nuke on D.C.
I think what Zach said, he can't give us classified stuff, but clearly they brought him people dressed up like Assad uniforms launching it. And what's the president supposed to do? But I'm not going to defend that. This is horse crap. The rebels have been caught doing it 3 times. Zach, you're a smart guy. What else should people know right now?
I want everybody to Google the trolley effect. And what the trolley effect is this. And this is taught in all special operations units, all training, all psychological operations unit training. If a trolley is moving down a hill at free fall speed, no brakes, there's 3 people in one lane, 100 in the other lane, and you have a lever that will move it left or right. What do you do? This is the predicament that they hold over the head continually as a perpetuation of the military-industrial complex. So, yes, there was a credible threat. Yes, things are going on. But when he took that oath of office...
It's a triage effect. They go, sir, you got to kill some to save many.
And every special operator, everybody who knows what the hell is going on right now knows what I'm saying. Point blank.
Let's put that fake triage effect back up because you're absolutely on target. So is there salvage in Trump? Because here's the deal. I don't want to roll over on Trump. He's done a lot of good stuff. They're never going to stop attacking me, but it's seen as a sign of weakness. But I just deal with what's moral. What do I do at this point, Zach, in your opinion? I mean, what do I say to Trump? What do I do?
It's unexcusable. It's unexcusable. When you're in combat, the right decision has to be made. He was compromised. He understood he was compromised. If his ego got in his way and the family was the downfall, then there's just no excuse for it in the absolute aftermath of what's occurring. The real question is, what do you do if you're a Syrian father or mother, if you're a Russian father or mother, as you're waking up as we speak? That's the real question, and we're looking at this in a vacuum. This is absolutely triggered the kinetic algorithms for war, period. There will be a response.
I want to talk about that, but here's the deal. I have put my family on the line. I have had the system say, we'll destroy you if you don't do this. And I did the right thing. So I can actually tell Trump that, you know what, your family has no future if you don't make the right decision. I get what you're saying, Zach, is that I can say, I put my family on the line. because the globalists put them on the line anyways. And so they must, I mean, God, you know, I know Trump's no goody two-shoes and there's no Russia connection, but it's the average leftist, they are just the trash of the earth. I mean, my God, if there's a nuclear war, they won't even know. So, Zach, you're a smart guy. In 5 minutes, you got the floor. Break down what people need to know, what's happening currently. I mean, let's pull up the news. Pull up Fox News while we're talking. Zach, you're watching the news. I mean, what, there was a bunch of targets hit. Is it still ongoing?
Absolutely ongoing. I'm not going to, actually, I shouldn't. There are obvious troop movements from Kuwait, from Qatar, big kinetic forces being happened in readiness for a retaliation strike. So there's ongoing strikes as we
Oh, yeah, because the media will be like, we punched you in the nose and broke your nose. How dare you fight back? Exactly.
Exactly. There is obvious retaliation strikes that are going to occur. So there's readiness forces in transit and already on the ground. Special operators are on the ground. So this is going to be a bloody conflict.
Well, what are they feeling like? Because I talked to a bunch of special forces guy in D.C. this week. They all hated this war. They get it. So I guess they're just still going to just kill Russians because they're told to.
Well, that's like asking what did it feel like to be born? As Alan Watts said, people fear death, but what did it feel like to be born? Of course, nobody knows. It just happened, and it's obvious that it happened by the fact that we happen to be here talking right now. But it was so catastrophic and so necessary that we don't remember what occurred. So right now, what we're witnessing is the most prevalent and impactful thing in recent history that has ever happened. So in the next 24 hours, we will see maybe something very significant or maybe something that... Well,
that's the big question. If I just wanted ratings, I would have said the Russians will probably strike back. They pledged to. Will we have nuclear war?
Why would they not? What should they stand down after being double-crossed, after doing the right thing, after investing their money?
Explain to people what Colonel Schaefer and others have exposed. They were invited in by patriots in our own military that said no to Obama turning Syria over to al-Qaeda and ISIS, and now I'm not trying to lionize the Russians, but Jesus, this is evil.
This is bigger than the Russians. This is bigger than everybody, because as me and you have spoke about for quite some time, we're going multiplanetary, and it seems to me like we're doing everything we can to stifle that, because we're looking at this in a very microscopic lens in the sense of geopolitical ramifications on a kinetic level. But really what this implies is we're going to Mars, we're going to the moon. Oh, hold on. Maybe we're not. So this is obviously deep state backed, military industrial complex backed, and they are fighting for the moon. They are fighting for Mars. I'm not being sensational. I'm not trying to get you caught up.
No, I get it. They want to get us back on the planet, focused on that.
This is a mess. I don't think Trump was compromised from the get-go. I know he was not. In fact, his military leaders were not. I can tell you that firsthand. But what has gone on is not good. And if he understood that he could be this compromised at some point, the raid on his lawyer obviously kick-started a lot of things, but it was going on before that. The troop movements were going on before that. Mattis has been saying some weird things. You don't pick a Marine general. I love the Marines. The Marines are the best on the planet, but come on, from an intellectual and intelligence level, just look at what's going on. They've been dug into the fight with losses and deaths and everything on their soul for years in these wars. What do you think? They're going to end on top. They're trying to win a kinetic war, but they don't understand that they're a piece of a bigger geopolitical puzzle that will ultimately be etched into the history of time. This is it. This is it. This is credible.
All I know is the West started this fight, sent in the Arab Spring, Obama, al-Qaeda, ISIS. The Russians stood up. The Syrians stood up. Our own military said it's right to back them. And now 5 years later, there's no memory. It's like we're goldfish, and now Trump is bombing the literal hell out of them. And and the left is all just celebrating. And like I said, I was watching tonight driving in. So I was driving in watching this, and they're like, they had Dumford up there, the chairman, Joint Chiefs, and all these other guys. They were like, did you warn the Russians you were going to bomb them? And the chairman had to go, no, we bombed them. Bombing Russians is now collusion. Dropping 2,000-pound bombs on Russian troops and blowing them into pieces is now Russian collusion. I mean, Jesus, I'm done, man. At that point, it's like I'm watching press conferences, driving in on the phone. I get here, I go pull that up. I saw it, and like the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, whatever his name is, the Army guy's Dumford. Who's the Marine Corps chairman? Who?
Mattis? You talking about Mattis?
No, not Mattis, the Secretary of Defense. Who's the other Marine?
I don't know.
But it doesn't matter. I'm watching this, and there's
McMaster.
No, McMaster's out now. It was it's the Marine Corps general. It's whatever. He's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Just pull up the current chairman. The point was is I'm driving in the car, and I shouldn't admit I'm driving in the car watching stuff, and I'm watching the live press conference. And I got
recently. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, back it up, guys. This is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's the guy in the Marine Corps uniform, and he's sitting there, and he says, he basically acts like the Russians have attacked him, like us being attacked as the Russians, and it's complete insane asylum, crazy town, lunatic level.
Well, this is a wet dream if you happen to be in the military-industrial complex, which if you happen to be a generational general, you happen to be a part of. So
what's that guy's name? I said Dumford right. My memory is right. My memory is almost always correct. I just go off the names, and I don't want to be. Yeah, so Dumford's up there saying.
Oh, yeah, Dumford. Yeah.
Dumford is up there, the chairman, acting like Russia attacked.
Completely compromised. Completely. And we called it. We called it 6 months ago. And the all right in the QAnon community says, no, can't be. You know, Zach says that Sessions is compromised. QAnon says that we need to trust Sessions. I don't think people understand what's going on. This isn't a soap opera. This isn't reality TV like you've been groomed to listen to. This is real world stuff. History books happen. That's not fiction. That really occurred. And you are an active member of this plot.
So let me ask you this question. And you guys try to get Pachinik on. Call him right now. Thanks.
And get Pachinik's take on Kushner, because he can really delve into it. And honestly...
Say that again? Go ahead. Hold on. Say that again?
We really need to get Pachinik's take on Kushner. We need to get Pachinik's take on Kushner and the problematic...
No, the Chinese sell out. But I mean, here's my deal. Here's my deal, and I'm going to get Owen's take.
Not even the Chinese. The geopolitical take on the Middle East, what he's been doing in the House of Saud, what he's been doing in the Gulf states. He has no military or defense background.
All right, well, let's talk about why Saudi Arabia suddenly doesn't want to fund al-Qaeda and claims they're pro-Trump. We wanted to say it was this big victory. You said it was this big victory. They were going to stop funding radicals. But why are they suddenly so creamy-eyed? Give us your intel advice, Zach.
Well, it's very simple. He has no military or defense background. He has a business and real estate background. And quite frankly, he has been dealing in oil, natural gas, and Forex markets. Forex happens to be foreign currency exchange. So if you look at the stock markets in Syria, into Russia, and everything, the dips and the dives of all these things that happen in conjunction with military actions and movements are nothing short of a miracle. We called it on your show. Syria Girl was on my last appearance. We said the UN has discovered, this is not conspiratorial, the UN discovered North Korean markings on containers holding what? Chemical weapons in Syria. And that was right when Rex Tillerson was relieved and North Korea was announced that, hey, we're going to have talks with them. They tried to tie North Korea. They did everything they could to protect their ROI, their return on investment, on a strike on North Korea, their 30-year investment, and tie Syria into it. Didn't happen. They fired Tillerson. North Korea's coming to the table, but they still have Syria, and they kept on pushing. I tried to hint. We talked about it, but they...
No, I agree, but here's the deal. Just because global corporations, it's just like the big oil rig they had for BP, where they knew you had to dump concrete in, but they decided to do water because it was cheaper and it blew up. Look at this. They just think they can do this. Russian official. Trump Syria strikes a declaration of war on sovereign state. Kit Daniels, Infowars.com. Attack can lead to unpredictable consequences, Russia warns. That's my only issue, is Russia came in and defeated al-Qaeda and ISIS. I'm not a Russophile. That's what happened. And now Trump suddenly turns against this. Let me get your take on that and how you expect, Zach, Russia to respond, and then Owen.
Russia will respond, but first and foremost, it has to be said, and you know you don't like the praise, but it has to be said. If Hillary Clinton had been elected, what we're seeing tonight and discussing tonight would have been done month number 1, 28 days or less within her inauguration.
Yeah, she said she wanted war with Russia.
So what we did is buy time to try to stifle and sort of wobble the kinetic momentum that was going on. And it does not excuse what Donald Trump did, but we tried, we pushed, we did all we could because it seemed right, and I believe he was genuine. But what occurred tonight is unexcusable, and it's done. So we can't be ashamed. We fought. We did all we could at the highest capacity that we could. And listen, this is unexplainable. We're looking at it in real time, and I'm going to tell you right now, from a place where things are generated and happen in MacDill Air Force Base, the wars are the drums of war are beating and echoing as loud as they've ever had. That's it.
Well, that's right. And you got the Russians saying we've got our troops ready on our borders. Western forces are massing. You've got Trump back in 2013 saying you've got to get congressional approval to do all this. This is insanity. What do you think they got on Trump to do this?
Well, ultimately, it's financial when it comes to legal avenues to get him physically impeached, but then it becomes ego-driven things where it's photos, things of this sort, that who cares? If I was you, I would take the Tiger Woods route. You don't come out with your mom and apologize. You own it, say, I made a mistake, I'm a man, who cares? You drive forward. But for whatever reason, deny. I get it. You got the best lawyers in the world.
I know.
It's just problematic. There's some ego compromising things if you happen to run the narrative of him that they possibly got, especially in the raid when it comes to financial documents and personal images and videos, but nothing that could be impeachable, nothing that who cares if you just come out and own it. Who gives a damn? We're talking about World War III. And when it comes to the military-industrial complex, I believe it gets more sinister because we could take the line of it, oh, it's just ego, it's just pictures, it's just money. Yeah, that's good and great. But then it becomes the real threat of, real physical harm to him, himself, his family.
Well, sure, Zach. Zach, let's talk about recklessness. Here's the deal. We know the globalists are funding radical Islam. They're funding all these other radical groups. They're funding communism. They're funding anything that's is a disturbance. And now they're trying to get us into a war with Russia because Russia has pulled out of globalism, has its own sovereign nation, and they're trying to destabilize Syria, Egypt, Libya, other countries that are trying to build a real nation, good Muslim nations that are not radical. And so we see the evil perspective. But to sit here now and watch Trump suddenly flip-flop to this when we know he knows the facts, that shows they've compromised him, or they showed him, like you said, maybe you have sources, maybe you're just predicting people dressed up in Assad uniforms launching a chemical attack right when the Russia's pulling out, right when the U.S. is pulling out, right when he's won. That's like, it's your birthday party, so you shoot yourself in the head. It's totally stupid. So to your view, at a gut level, why have the Russians stood down? Thank God they have. Go to bed like a nuclear war. That's how this stuff escalates historically, mainline historians. Why are they standing down, and why did Trump do this, and where do you see this going now? Because you say, oh, the Russians will respond. How do you respond to this? I mean, this is shameful.
You fight for your life. You fight for your life, and you fight for humanity, period. And you hinted at it, and I've sent some emails. I've said what I had to say. It'll come out eventually. The Department of Defense was provided with video of individuals who claim to be part of pro-Assad forces in full regalia who are compromised and deep state backed. So for the undiscerning eye, for the public viewer, for public consumption, it will look like such. But obviously in a war-stricken country where there is no economy, where war is everything.
Well, yeah, that's like Operation Himmler to kick off World War II in 1939. The Nazis dressed up like Poles and attacked their own base. You're saying 100%. You've seen footage of an Operation Himmler.
Yes.
And that would explain what Trump did. He's shown this by Mattis. What is he supposed to do?
So so it's double pronged, it's double flanked, right? He's covered from all angles. He's blackmailed. He knows what's going on. He can see who's applying the pressure. Then once this imagery, once this intelligence is provided, it's quite obvious what needs to be done. Because if not, the next step happens. And if not, the next step happens. And he's not a dumb man. But like we opened the...
So how do we unwind this? Because Trump overall is a good guy from what he's done. But I agree, he's compromised. He's rolled over. This is really horrible news. What do we do against the deep state? How do we counter this? What's the next step? What do you expect to happen next in this nightmare scenario. And then Owen, jump in.
I expect a complete. I expect retaliation. I expect disgust and disdain from the public. I respect it. I expect an outcry. I expect protest. I expect demonization. I respect praise from the wrong people who should get praise from.
And I expect the left to say Trump's a traitor for not nuking the whole planet. We're going to hear that, too, that he was soft and didn't kill everybody.
And I expect Barack Hussein Obama to say nothing, weirdly, when it was his red line, when it was his force that we're fighting, when it was all this crap that he had to start, that he perpetuated, that he created. I expect him to say nothing. Weirdly, this guy who's not as late in his life as most presidents, who's thriving, who is heralded by all the left, to say nothing. Because he knows what's going on. He's played his chess move, and it's very bizarre. But I honestly, I expect this to have a worldwide protest. I expect this to be the Russians to maybe not necessarily turn the other cheek. They will not allow themselves to be continually.
No, but I mean, listen, I'm not a Russophile. The point is the globalists created ISIS. They funded the Arab Spring. They launched the attack on Syria out of North Africa, out of Libya. They did it all. We stood against it. Russia did the right thing. Our military did. And now the globalists think we're so stupid they're going to crap all over this. We've got Joel Skousen coming up in a few minutes of World Affairs Brief, Marine Corps aviator, great researcher. But Owen, get in here right now. I want to get your take. You've been sitting there.
Well, I actually don't think the American public is going to care much about this. I don't expect much of an outcry from the American public, from the left or the right. I think the left wants to remain silent because they want to continue their propaganda of Trump-Russia collusion. I think the right is just
they'd rather blow the planet up.
Well, and the right's just going to dive.
Oh, we're anti-Russia. Russians are on Earth. Blow up Earth.
The right will just dive right into the neocon industrial military complex. But I expect a full retaliation from Russia. I would actually expect Russia to...
But a full retaliation would be blowing the ships up.
Well, I wouldn't be shocked if that happened.
No one's talking about China. All of a sudden, China doesn't exist?
Well, doesn't it look like at this point, though, that Trump is actually working better with China than he is Russia?
No, never. We're fighting for number one on the totem pole. So all this is occurring in a death blow of a failing system. See, me, you, and Alex, and everybody who's listening right now happens to be American, happens to be patriots, happens to believe in truly the democracy and the Constitution of the United States. But what's occurring right now on our behalf has nothing to do with us. This is a fight of a dying system and the eventual reality of a Chinese century, which me, you, and everybody listening is trying to fight. But people fighting on our behalf happen to have very different points of view, as we spoke about for several months and years.
So then where does China come into play now? Do they just let America and Russia battle it out and then they try to mop up afterwards?
Absolutely. China's Dana White, just watching the fight in the octagon, ready to collect and possibly sell later.
Kind of like what happened with the American economy and they were buying up everything that was left behind?
Unequivocally. Unequivocally. The numbers don't lie. This is disgusting. The only hope we had was full adherence to the script and the full revitalization of the American Constitution. And I hope I'm missing something, but I don't think I am. Because what I anticipate is a fight for our lives in the next coming months. And it's nothing that we haven't televised. It's nothing that you haven't been speaking about for years and years and years. Trump gave us a breath of fresh air, really kept us motivated, pumped us up. It's going. But this is critical. This is a serious marker. If a tire blows out, you just don't keep on driving down the road. You should acknowledge it.
No, I agree. Zach, let me ask you this question. Then we're going to Joel Skousen. Talking to other people that are in the Geospatial Center and Space Command and the Pentagon and all that, when I talked to a bunch of people when I was in D.C., some of them were like low-level CIA, some were high-level. Sent me a bunch of CIA guys I was with. Not like bragging. It's like saying with the Coca-Cola company. They were all against this, saying it's BS. Assad wouldn't do this. This is crazy. It's a false flag. God, this is horrible. They all agreed. When you're there at Cape Canaveral, and talking to all those folks, what is their sense right now?
It's tough time. This is not good. This is worst case scenario. Nobody plans to go out on the night of the town, have a good time with your significant other, and get into a fight. I'm going to go out to dinner. I'm going to have a good time. Here we go. But if somebody pushes you and you get roughed up, you have to react. You don't go out planning for that. But make no mistake, there was a major speed bump today. This was unprecedented. The future is unknown.
What do they have on Trump? I agree with Kushner and all of it to get him to do this when we know it's been al-Qaeda and al-Nusra and ISIS that have staged the other chemical attacks. What did they get on Trump? Because I see this as the real demarcation line of the beginning of the end. I hope that's not the case, but at a gut level, already my spirit, my gut is saying Trump's gone.
Bare minimum, we are going to have to retaliate with massive force, because if they don't retaliate, it would be this bizarre coincidence. Why would they not retaliate? If we were Russia, what would we do? So now that we have to deal with war, that's like saying, that's like discussing who's the MVP and what are they going to do next season before the championship game is played. What we're looking at in the next 72 hours is something very remarkable and unprecedented. It's a marker on a timeline that will.
No, I agree, but we were beginning to roll up their networks. We were the pedophile networks, all of it. It was starting to actually happen. The economy was coming back. It wasn't the raid on Trump's lawyer, because we know it's not Russiagate, but you run casinos, you do this. I mean, you know, nothing's perfect. I mean, you make an entry wrong on a bank account, the FBI says it's criminal. Clearly, Trump has crapped his pants to do this at this point. And I'm not anti-Israel, but all our sources say Israel's name is all over this. And that's what I
Well, like I said, I opened the call. I said, listen, let's not look at what was televised and broadcast to the world at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Let's look at what was done at 666 Fifth Avenue. And that's going to be the fall, because it's not about Jared Kushner. It's about Ivanka. And if you realize there's interpersonal communications in his family, and you realize what is really going on, it all becomes this very apparent, bizarre family tie thing, which if...
No, I understand. And Zach, you're a great source. I know who you are. You've been a big intelligence source nationally. If people knew who you were, we're not giving your name out. You're a big source when you finally go public on the show. What are the other military sources and Space Command people and NASA folks and DARPA people talking to you? What do they think of this? Because this came out of, I thought, you know, Trump was going to hit him a few days ago. It was terrible. Then he backed off. We were all going to have a nice Friday night. I was eating dinner with my wife. We're about to watch a movie, and this happens. I drive in here. What are your other people? What is Elon Musk saying if you've talked to him? And what are they saying?
Prepare for everything to change.
So it's real bad. It's real bad?
Everything will change. Everything is going to change. There's no way to there's no way to, you know, put a good quotation on it. Just bare minimum, everything will change. We could not expect other sentient beings to do nothing. The momentum cycle of what's going on right now does not define Americanism, does not define the United States of America. But make no mistake, it is a real and active force that is providing harm. Eventually, the bully gets beat up, and it's a problem because we happen to be in the capacity of it. And we've been doing everything we can to defend it. But make no mistake, things are going to change.
All right, Zach, let's talk tomorrow. I'll do an emergency broadcast on Saturday through Sunday. Thank you so much. God bless you. We appreciate Zach.
It'd be an honor.
Thank you, Zach. And Zach, I know who Zach is. Again, it's his real first name. He's been in national news, been in newspapers, Army intelligence officer, mid-level officer, and then works for the Space Command, the whole thing. And he's a patriot. And I've talked to folks. Zach's a good source. And you can hear him. This is a really bad sign. Hopefully we can work this out, but I don't know. And I trust Joel Skousen, Marine Corps aviator, officer, best-selling author, Cleon Skousen, the guy that exposed the whole globalist agenda 60 years ago. When I was a little kid, and they had the Naked Communist, the Naked Capitalist, reading those books, you know, but seeing him when I was like 5 years old, reading when I was like 12. I didn't get him on in like pre-programmed things like CNN. I don't know what his take is. I don't know. But we're going to find out from him right now. Are we making a big deal out of this? Is it no big deal? Is it the fall of Trump? What does this signify, Joel Skousen?
Well, Alex, it's good to be with you again on this momentous and very, very, very sad day. As I pointed out in my World Affairs brief today, I believe that Trump has just been snookered, frankly. It's amazing. On Laura England tonight in Fox News, I was just watching before Rob Dew called that Colonel McGregor, retired U.S. Army, was going head-to-head with Sebastian Gorka, who was a deep stater insider who was working in the Trump regime. And he was spouting all of the claims that we've seen the intelligence, there's proof that Assad did this. There is no proof that Assad, this intelligence has been falsified. And McGregor called him on that and said, look, I've been a career Army and this intelligence has been manipulated. He said, I've seen it happen all the time when I was in the service. He said, you cannot tell me that Assad, who just a week prior, that Donald Trump was going to pull out of Syria, that he would pull a chemical attack and ruin the whole thing and all of his chances of peace. I mean, he'd have to be insane to do this. And he was absolutely
exactly. And even on Sky Television, they had the former head of the defense ministry say that. They cut him off. This is common sense. So what is going on, Joel? I mean, we're defeating ISIS. It's happening. It's a great victory. Trump says we're pulling out. The Russians are pulling out. Peace is breaking out, and this happens.
Well, in reality, Trump did not defeat ISIS. The deep state got embarrassed by Russia, embarrassing them about not fighting ISIS, about faking it, about allowing oil from ISIS to go through Turkey.
Sure, I mean, the Russians began to defeat ISIS.
And so what I'm saying is that the United States was forced to take ISIS down without destroying it. And the way they did that, of course, like in Mosul, is provide an escape route, use helicopters to take out various ISIS leaders. They regrouped in Raqqa, and after Raqqa, the ISIS was defeated.
Just like the airlift of evil 2001 out of Afghanistan into Pakistan.
That's right. They paid for almost 50 driven by Arabs, semi-tractor trailers to come into Raqqa and take out ISIS, their families, and their heavy weapons. Now, what happened to ISIS? They got reintegrated into the U.S.-backed rebels in Syria. They didn't destroy, but they can be called back at any time. The deep state.
And by the way, all that's confirmed. So you're absolutely right. So how did they get Trump to do this, and what does it signify? I mean, I want to support the president, but my God, how did they get him to do this?
Well, in the first place, Trump doesn't ever do his homework. He doesn't ever do anything. At best, he watches television and he gets briefings by the CIA, the daily briefings, and they're full of propaganda, and they never tell the truth about the deep state, the dark side of government.
And that's why they work so hard to keep your show and my show, which is, I'm not bragging, it's true. You're right. They work to keep our briefings from him because he would actually does the right thing when he gets the briefing, but he's not getting the briefing.
That's right. He isn't getting the information. He doesn't have the background. He doesn't have the military background to counter the very sophisticated excuses that they give him. And when they come up with some false intelligence saying that they've got proof that Assad did this, I know they don't have the proof. There's just no way that Assad would do this. And we know that the rebels have done this last year in April 2017.
3 times.
I couldn't believe it. Sebastian Gorka sat there and Laura Ingraham said, we have proof. He said, I've seen the intelligence. I've seen the chemical weapons, residue and stuff that were used in April of 2017, and it was Assad.
Yeah, that's just like Colin Powell with the anthrax file.
Well, it's even worse because he hasn't seen anything. Look, I've seen the photographs of the supposed chemical weapons, and it was an artillery shell in a little tiny crater that was run over by a truck. Well, that's not how chemical weapons are delivered.
They're air delivered, air bursts.
Well, that's right. And I mean, this was, and the shells are exploded, not imploded. I mean, there's no way that was a chemical weapon shell. And to pass that off as proof to someone like Donald Trump, if he had military experience, he would say, hey, this is bogus. What are you trying to pull? But he doesn't have that experience. And so his gut feeling always brings him back. After they talked him into Afghanistan, his gut feeling said he got angry about a month later.
No, I agree, but here's the deal. I've been getting out of the TPP. I've been pro-America. I mean, as a moral Christian person, fundamentally, my spirit says I have to go against Trump now. I know the midterms are coming up. I don't want the Democrats to win, but I am really upset right now. Thank God the Russians, talk about that, Joel. It's not the Russians are perfect, but you've been a combat veteran yourself. You're a Marine Corps officer. But, I mean, the fact that the Russians have stood down so far is a miracle. I mean, they are blowing up their bases. They are attacking them. As a father of 4 children, I am so ashamed of America right now. I'm not trying to be emotional, but I'm really angry right now. And the left pushing Trump, saying he's a Russian agent, this is insane. This is insane.
You see, if Trump had the wherewithal to counter this, he wouldn't be so subject to manipulation. The fact that he could be turned around with such a false flag, bogus intelligence indicates that this man is very, very weak. I don't think that they've got dirt on him. I mean, they've got plenty of dirt on him. I mean, he's had multiple affairs. He said it was not just Stormy Daniels. He's paid off all kinds of people. And that was one of the reasons for the Cohen raid, was to get the dirt on Trump, to prove that.
No, I agree. He's not a bad person. He cares about America, but he is fundamentally weak.
That's right. He's fundamentally flawed and weak. But here's the case with the Russians. And I have to strongly disagree with your previous guest. I do not believe that this is going to escalate. I think the Russians were assured by the United States that we're going to do a one-time strike. We're not going to hit
just like last year, though they were told it was coming.
That's right. The fact that the Russians didn't even attempt to shoot down with their S-400 systems any of these cruise missiles indicates that they were flat standing down, and that they do not now. They have said.
But, Joel, I agree with you, but next the neocons are going to try to hit them on their border. That's the thing, is that this appeasement.
They're not going to try to hit Russia on the border. You know, that's not how this is not. You can't provoke Russia openly into creating World War III scenario. Otherwise, the globalists get blamed for it. They've got to stress this so that it's over a long-term antagonism. It's true, the United States is...
So let me ask you, what do we do about Trump? Because I support him on so many issues, but I can't lie to my audience. You know, this is such compromise that I didn't like Bush. I didn't like any of these people. I committed to Trump, and he was so good so long, but I agree with you. It shows true weakness. I respect you as a wise man. What should we be doing right now? Because I don't want the Democrats to win the midterms. I don't want to turn against Trump, but God almighty, he's going to start World War III. Is he my enemy is what I'm saying. I cannot stand this crap.
I don't think Trump is the enemy. I don't think he's ever crossed over to the other side. I think he's still being manipulated because of his weaknesses. I don't support Trump any longer because I've lost total confidence in his ability to hold the line. He simply cannot hold the line because he doesn't have the wherewithal to argue. That's why he's compromising on TPP.
No, I agree. He cares too much about mainstream media. He's a good person, but he cannot hold the line.
He relishes getting praised by people. He's subject to flattery, and that's a very, very serious weakness. But I don't think that we ought to project any more the image that we can trust Trump to save us. And I have opposed.
So then, let me say, am I wrong? Then we're neutral. Trump is okay. We hope he does the right thing. He's not the enemy, but Trump is dead. Trump politically is gone.
That's right. He's not going to help us. He's not going to drain the swamp. I mean, God only knows. How can you drain the swamp when you name a replacement to James Comey and Christopher Wray, who's an insider? If he even fires...
Well, that's my next question, because I'm not just kissing your butt. You're a smart guy. Why does he put up with these FBI corrupt elements? Why does he let them do this? Why? What is wrong with Sessions? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, remember, there's nobody underneath Sessions who can back up the Trump agenda. They're all against him. If you replace Rod Rosenstein, you get another underling under him, and they're all Democrats. They're all against Trump.
No, I agree, but then how do we defeat this combination of evil?
Well, I am not optimistic. Our ability to... The deep state is far more dangerous and deep within the government and all of the agencies than we've ever imagined. In fact,
no, I agree. So let me ask you this, Joel, because I respect you. You're a really smart guy. Do I just evacuate my family? Because I've almost reached that point. I just, if America isn't awake and doesn't care, what is the point?
Well, the point is, God is always going to save a remnant. But that remnant has to be awake. That remnant has to understand that the key element is the conspiracy of the deep state. And it's not just like Sean Hannity, who throws out the deep state to defend Trump, but doesn't admit that the deep state was involved in 9/11 and the JFK assassination and Martin Luther King. See, that's the difference. You put out the word that there is real conspiracy. I put out the word that there's real conspiracy in this nation, and people have to wake up to that fact. And as I preached for a long time, and I've lived this myself, even though I fight for our liberty every day and try to help people understand how deep this...
But by the way, you don't brag about what you've done, but you get demonized by the left and Soros. You led the main opposition group for 15 years, 20 years that was trying to take the Republican Party back. They made such a big deal. You almost did it. So, I mean, you're not like tooting your horn here. You have been in the center of that.
That's right. Ever since the Reagan administration, where I was chairman of the Conservative National Committee, I've fought to try to stop this compromise and this leftward drift to the Republican Party. But at the same time... Because
the people want the Republic. They want this.
Of course, they want it. But the point is they've got to understand, once you've lost a great deal of moral integrity, as we have in the United States and the majority, we may not deserve the blessings of God to save the country as a whole, but we will always be preserved as a remnant. And I think we have to prepare for the takedown. I think we're going to go into...
No, I agree more and more with you. My gut tells me just keep trying to wake people up, but just I need to get in a defensive position. Because I look at the immoral weakness of the public. Not that I'm perfect, but God, they're weak. I mean, it's so clear what's going to happen.
You know, if our side keeps fighting for the battle of liberty and losing and doesn't do anything to prepare for the major cataclysmic wars that they've got in store for us, I don't think it's going to start over Syria. The U.S. is not going to pursue this.
But I agree, but it's an example of the neocon insanity, blowing up Russians that are fighting ISIS. God.
No, absolutely. I mean, these people are amoral and evil, and there's a tremendous amount of yes men in the military that know what's going on and don't have the courage to do anything about it, don't have the courage to blow the whistle. And that's why I object to all of these false, bogus conspiracy claims that there's good guys in the military that are going to have a coup on Obama, and that they're going to have a coup on the deep state, and that they're going to, you know, save us. And that's just not true. I've been in the military long enough to know that everybody of high military rank is a yes man. At least they won't fight the global system, or they don't get to be.
No, you're right. They were chosen because they'd sell out. When did that change? The 50s? Because, I mean, the country wasn't founded on these cowards.
It really started in the 70s. That's when they really started to preach globalism to the CIA and the wives. My mother married a CIA agent who was an agent in Greece in the embassy, and they've got indoctrination sessions clear back in the 70s. And she, having been married to a Skousen, protested these things. And I'll tell you, her husband was downright embarrassed because my mother stood up and read the riot act to these guys about their preaching.
No, my uncle, who they probably killed, he told me he had like 7 Bronze Stars in Vietnam flying helicopters, like he was Black Ops helicopter commander. And he said, he wouldn't tell me the secret stuff, but he said, and they killed him like a year after that happened. He said, the children, he said what they did to children in Latin America, he couldn't stand for. And then they said, oh, you're not reliable. And they came after him. And they were trying to develop some plan to go after Obama. And then 3 members of my family in 1 month all died from viruses, and it was just like, and then I thought, oh, that was just coincidence. And I got the phone call. They said, we just killed your family. You shut your freaking mouth up. And that was when I realized, it was like 5 years ago, how real this is. It was pneumonia, weaponized pneumonia. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, God, how long, Joel Skousen, Dr. Skousen, Joel Skousen, World Affairs Brief, how long does this go on before God brings vengeance on these people?
Well, I think it has to happen just because, is what I've said, that we've lost the moral authority to get the blessings of God. It's not that there aren't a lot of good people still in this nation, but most of them, especially the Christian churches, have bought into the idea that we have to support government no matter what they do. Only people like Pastor Chuck Baldwin have the courage to stand up and say no, that you have to fight against this establishment system. You don't have to obey government to be obeying God. And it's really sad. I mean, the point is, what I was so shocked about this week is how everyone in the establishment, including most of Fox News, just started parroting the line. There wasn't hardly any. There were only 2 people that I saw during the entire week.
Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson had a marvelous monologue questioning. He was very careful not to ever state categorically there was a conspiracy to do a false flag. He asked dramatic questions, and he said, and they came out and crucified him this week. Washington Post coming out and saying that he's insane, and the Fox News isn't a real news, and he ought to be fired, and all the other neocons came out and attacked him.
Well, no, that's the thing. I'm not a drama queen, but Skousen, they are after me so bad right now, and it's just because I don't want to sell out their system. This is a historical moment that we've reached, and the World Affairs Brief covers all that. I don't want to sit there and say this is the beginning of the fall of Trump, but just at a gestalt spiritual level, I feel like is the fall of Trump. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It is the fall of Trump. I don't think he's going to recover from this. You know, I have said that the great benefit for the first year of his administration was that they've been so busy coming out of the woodwork, showing their colors and showing how much they control the media, how much they control the FBI, how much they control the Department of Justice and members of Congress, that we're getting a first-class front row seat education how deep the deep state is into government. And Donald Trump has succumbed to that. And now he's succumbing on multiple fronts. He's, you know, the immigration wall is not going up. The refugee wall is not stopped. TPP is
so we're witnessing the fall of Trump. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. As we sit here and watch this unfold, what do, in your view, expert view, I respect your view. I'll just say it to listeners. I respect your view. What do we do? Because I wanted to believe in Trump, and I did a lot of good stuff, but he's just a man. What, in your view, do we do to protect our families and to get ready for this? Because I look at how the globalists hate Christianity, how they hate God. I mean, it's so obvious they're satanic. Even if you were like an atheist or a worldly person like I was 10 years ago, I still believe in God. You see the evil. You see the attack. How does it not let you know God's real? How do people not want to stand against this? This is so obvious.
Well, that's a real tough question, Alex. You're talking about the mental and moral and spiritual state of our own people. And, you know, most conservatives, frankly, don't even have the courage to keep their children out of public schools. And most of them lose them because they're being propagandized in public schools. We're losing the battle on multiple fronts. And it's, you know, but we cannot stop taking advantage of these situations, no matter how small our voice may be, to say, this is the evidence that these are false flag, and they always have been false flags. This is the evidence, because eventually we'll be vindicated. And the United States is going to suffer eventually a world war, but it will not be, I believe, over this. It's going to be over North Korea. And he's even Trump has even sold out on North Korea. He's bought into the same false scenario of promise of denuclearization by Kim Jong-un as the previous three presidents. And he said he wouldn't. And yet he just somehow doesn't have the ability to see through the facade, or at least he makes rash statements like, yeah, I'll meet with Kim, and then he can't back down. And then he can't say it. As I said in the World Affairs Brief in North Korea, what he should have said, the time for talk is over. You have 30 days to allow inspectors to come in and take possession of your nuclear and missile program, or we'll use the military option. Now, you see, he didn't do that because he's got advisors telling him, no, no, you can't do that. Russia and China will come in. But, you know, they didn't tell him that when it's about Syria. You've got to come into Syria, regardless of what Russia will do. Of course, they were worried about Russia. That's why Trump backed down after his bravado of Wednesday, because the Russians came out and said, we're going to strike back. They were bluffing.
Well, Joel Skousen on a World Affairs Brief, I respect what you're saying, but you said at gut level, I agree with you, and I am very hurt. And I don't just say that to be a drama queen, because I've defended Trump under the other attacks, and I've got what he's doing. But this raid on his lawyer, Owen Schroyer, jump in here, you're being very polite. I'm going to be honest with people. I feel like this is Trump's funeral. I don't mean physically he's going to die. I just think he means well. We know that he wasn't controlled. But he has been sucked in, and I hope he turns the corner. But I just have to be honest with listeners. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm really scared for my family. And, you know, I wanted to believe that Trump was going to be the right thing. And obviously nobody's perfect. But, man, this is painful. This is a fraud. We know the West funded al-Qaeda and ISIS. We know they funded these false flags. And, you know, to see Mattis looking like Emperor Palpatine up there, and then to see all of it, I'm just so sick of this world domination crap. When if we were just good people and built a planet, we could have the stars. It pisses me off. I mean, we've got unlimited potential if we just stop this.
Well, the American public has a chance to wake up and see the world for what it is. I doubt they will. But I actually think that Trump could end up getting impeached over this. I mean, think about it. They'll say, oh, he didn't get congressional approval. Let's impeach him. So you could go from a situation where Democrats are calling for impeachment for colluding with Russia to where now Democrats are calling for impeachment because he bombed Russia. Now, if you don't understand the Twilight Zone level of the secret government, when you see that for your own experience in your own eyes, and you can't wake up and smell the coffee, you're dead already. So half the American public is already dead. We thought Trump could maybe awaken them at least to be patriots again, and they rejected that.
They're dead. They're dead. It's true. And we don't like the globalists get off on dead people. I'm not getting off on all these dead people around me. I'm freaking freaked out.
Well, and imagine if you're Trump, too, and you see, you know, all these people marching against you, and then here's Mueller, totally lawless, does whatever he wants, just raids your attorney's office, gets a bunch of blackmailable material on you, and how many marches are there? None. How many people tried to stop World War III from happening? None, except InfoWars, Michael Savage, and a few other voices in the wilderness. So the military-industrial complex basically isolate him by picking off one by one his allies inside the White House.
Yeah, what's wrong with the military-industrial complex? They've got total power. They've got the whole space, and they want total domination.
Well, absolute power corrupts absolutely, Alex.
That's what Lord Acton said. So Joel Scalzo in World Affairs Brief, one of the smartest guys I know. I'm not trying to be a drama queen because I defended Trump on a bunch of these things and thought he was, I physically feel like I'm punched in the stomach. Am I wrong? Or I just metaphysically, I feel like this is a big blow to the country. My gut's never wrong. I mean, I feel like I just got my ass kicked here.
Well, you know, Alex, I watched your defense of Trump for the past several months, and of course, I had already turned the corner and decided that he really wasn't going to be trustworthy. But, you know, nobody could fault you for giving Trump the benefit of the doubt. Nobody could fault you for not having supported him right up to the end. To me, this is the end. You know, by being snookered twice, first last year in April 2017 with the false flag attack, and now this time. I mean, this is very, very serious, and I've lost total confidence in Trump, and our listeners should as well. We should not trust them. We should prepare that we're going to continue to go down and not believe the false promises of the Republican leadership or even Trump himself, who continues to be optimistic that he can still beat the... I don't know if he understands what it takes to drain the swamp, but he still thinks he can drain the swamp. But it's impossible when you can't recognize who's a part of the swamp and who isn't.
So let me ask this question, Joel, the World Affairs Brief, and I'm going to ask Owen this. We get the fact that he's getting broken. We get the fact he doesn't get it and he's compromised. But then you've got Hillary and the globalists and the left. How do you try to defeat them, win the midterms, and still, like rocket engines falling off, deal with Trump? How do you triage that and then still move forward? Because my gut's never wrong, and I agree with you. At a spiritual level, I realize Trump has fallen. He was already fallen, but I didn't want to bet everything on Trump. It's just we wanted to fix things. We wanted it to be an easy win. We get it wasn't going to be that. And none of us are perfect. I'm not judging Trump. It's just painful to see this. So, well, I mean, you get my whole gestalt there, Joel Scalzo. I mean, what do we do? What do you expect Trump to do?
I think we, first of all, have to continue to defend the proper positions on the issues rather than base it upon Trump anymore. In other words, we've got to decry, once again, this war, this disastrous intervention. We've got to preach and deliver the evidence that these are false flags that they're pulling on us. And we now have the information to go through and say that the deep state has infected almost everybody on Fox News except Tucker Carlson and everybody in the mainstream media, everybody and all the Republicans.
Well, that's another question. How is Tucker Carlson, because I've met with him privately, how is he even allowed to operate?
You see, Tucker Carlson has gone into this very, very gradually. Now he's crossed the line, but he's so popular now on Fox, I don't think they can fire him. And they haven't got any dirt on it, like they had, you know,
O'Reilly?
You know, or Bill O'Reilly. So I think he's going to survive, because I'll tell you, Fox would have hell to pay if they fired Tucker Carlson, because he's been careful. He's been extremely careful, never to have to actually broach conspiracy.
No, but I agree with you. Tucker Carlson has really matured. Everything he does now is really good. He is definitely a good guy right now.
But I think the important thing to realize is that we can still encourage people to vote. Remember, and this is the key thing, the Trump supporters are still just as dead set against the establishment, just as dead set against the Democrats, especially.
Yeah, we brought Trump. He didn't bring us.
That's right. And that power still exists, but we've got to stop putting Trump in the front of our movement and say, let's go to principle. Let's talk about the specific issues. Let's fight for them and vote for people who will. You see, if we don't back these
Exactly.
people,
we have to lead. If he wants to follow, that's his issue. But he is, they attack him, so we build him up. You're right. He has really, on a lot of fronts, failed. So we have to just go forward with what's right. If he wants to follow us, that's fine. But Trump is falling.
and we've got to back every single congressional candidate that's willing to take a tough stand against this war in Syria. And there are very, very few.
Well, Joel, let me ask you this question, and not about my ego. I want your real counsel. They have got PIs following me 24 hours a day. They've got all these shows on Comedy Central, CNN, everywhere, lying when I say that I'm not that important. I don't think I'm that good, quite frankly. They are obsessed with me. They are after me. Well, they are all over the place misrepresenting. What do you think they're doing? Why are they so scared of InfoWars? Because, I mean, okay, we reached 80-something million people election week. It was like 30 million before. They pressed us down to 30, 40 million a week. We're still there. It's our main audience. But they are, I mean, they are trying to pay everybody I know money to lie. No one will actually do it. They are, I said on air what they were doing. It is, I don't feel sorry for myself, actually. I feel blessed, but it is insane what they're doing. And I'm not that good of a guy. So let me ask you as a wise guy, I don't mean as a cliche, a smart guy, why are they after me so bad? Because I need to know this, because I don't get it.
Well, it is their fear of truth. I mean, it's just like they came out the woodwork with just venom against Tucker Carlson. And they do that every day to you. I mean, you're much more straightforward in terms of the raw truth, especially about conspiracy issues, than Tucker Carlson is, even when he approaches it. I mean, look what happened to Glenn Beck when he got too close to George Soros. He started talking about globalism. Now, he was still a conspiracy.
Let me interrupt, because we got plenty of time. Beck was so good and so powerful, and he broke on that. He said, I met with elitists, and he quit. And now he's, exactly, how did they break him? Because, I mean, they're trying to break me. I'm trying to understand that.
Well, they broke him because he wanted to be popular too much. That was his weakness. That was Romney's weakness. You see, he wanted to be president too badly, and so they could twist his arms. They can't twist my arms. They can't twist your arms, because we don't want popularity. We want the truth. And that's why we're immune to that. And so they've got to use the physical economic attack. I mean, this day, you know, for the first time, my entire host server in the United Kingdom got shut down as my brief on the Syrian war was going to come.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to be a drama queen, because I don't want to scare. It's like next level what's happening here. They're into the light system, the phones, everything. It's like, that's what I'm saying. We're not that powerful. We're just not bad guys. They are so scared. And I think if you look at their attack, Owen, that's the answer to how to target them. Why are they so scared of this then, Joel?
Because truth resonates with the right people. And we don't convince everybody. But I'll tell you, we convince a lot of people about these, especially on these issues that are very, very clear-cut. It embarrasses the hell out of them. So that's what they're just fearful of real truth because they know that truth resonates with a lot of people and they're afraid it's going to take off. That's why they have to kill it. That's why Facebook has to censor. They can't tolerate any light of truth. And that's one of the proofs that this is at its very core satanic conspiracy.
No, I agree. But now that Trump, and hopefully he writes himself, because I don't want to just, everybody like Ann Coulter does these points saying, oh, he's screwing us on DACA or he's doing this on guns. And I know the inside baseball, it's not. But with this, just at a gut level, it's a turn. What do you expect him to do next now if they've turned Trump? Because he's got to know, he's just, as soon as you roll over to these guys, they've got you. I mean, I don't, or maybe he doesn't know that.
No, it isn't that he's made a turn and says, I'm capitulating to them. They know how to massage them. They know how to say, look, you know, he doesn't have any defense for any of the arguments. So they turn him around. But what happens is he gets backlash from his subscribers. I mean, he gets backlash from his supporters. And so he now will reverse himself a little bit again. And then it'll be turned around. But I've seen this happen so many times. I just say, look, I'm going to applaud Trump when he does the right thing. But I have lost total confidence in his ability to stay the course. So I'm not going to ever preach, you can depend on Donald Trump. I'm going to preach only that you cannot. We will applaud when he does the right thing, but you cannot depend on it. And so we will take our strategy down a path of principle and of specific facts, and we will...
Exactly. We're not for the Democrats, but we want to hope Trump gets better. So how did they break Trump, or does he even know he's broken, Owen?
Well, they didn't break Trump, and he doesn't know that he's broken. And they don't tell him that. I mean, they don't twist his arm. That would, you know, Trump's a guy who would resist that. His ego wouldn't allow that. So they know how to flatter him and say, look, on all these children. And that's a soft spot with Donald Trump. And they show them these pictures over and over again, and he gets upset, and he says, all right, and you're sure that Assad did this? Yes, we have positive proof that Assad did this. And they don't have positive proof.
No, obviously they haven't. So what happens next, Joel Scalzo, in a World Affairs Brief?
All right. Well, I think the Russians have sufficiently intimidated Mattis and Trump that they're not going to, this is going to be a one-time strike. Even though the Democrats and even Republicans on Fox News were saying, hey, he did this last year and it wasn't enough. He's going to have to do more this year. So he did a little more. He hit, you know, what, a dozen targets and things, but it's not going to, there's still going to be more chemical attacks that they blame on Assad until they eventually get...
Well, that's what the British ambassador to Syria says. He says, ISIS is doing this, and now you let them pull your chain. You're going to encourage them to keep doing this.
That's right. I mean, they know exactly how to manipulate Trump, and it'll happen again. But the Russians are the key here. They've told the United States in their private conversations, if you go beyond what you've promised you're going to do, not hitting our bases and not hitting population center, if you go beyond that, we're going to retaliate. And I think the U.S. is not going beyond that. It is not going to manipulate. In the
well, clearly, the Russians days ago pulled out of Tartus and all that. So, yeah, you're right. It's not a stage deal what the Russians have pulled out. It's just, it's a bigger event than last year.
It's a bigger event, but it's still a paper tiger. And the problem is Russia's a paper tiger still, too. They're not ready for World War III yet, and that's why they keep taking this. And the U.S. is learning that we can push Russia because they aren't ready to come against us yet. And that's why I still think this trigger event is going to be North Korea. And once again, North Korea is going to be delayed into the next decade where I think Russia and China will be ready. Now,
well, that's my next question. What do you think about these peace talks coming up?
Well, look, the peace talks, Trump says we've got to have positive proof that you're going to start to do before we'll talk. He's already succumbed to that. He's not requiring any positive proof. If he really were, and his advisors against this, because his advisors really want this trigger event, North Korea, to be postponed in the next decade when Russia and China are ready to take advantage of it. But the key here is that if he were really serious, he would say, all right, you've got to let inspectors in right now to take possession of your program. And he's not going to promote that, and Kim would not agree to that. And so these talks can go on for another year or so. North Korea will have developed its miniaturization and the warhead technology to penetrate the atmosphere by that time, and then we're in real trouble. That's what I said in the World Affairs Brief, that Trump doesn't have a year or 6 months even to negotiate. He's got to stop them now, or it's going to be a major problem.
Well, that's my final question, and I want to get Owen's take on this, too, and we're going to end this live transmission. You can see the globalists funding North Korea, Chinese, the globalists, all of it. What's coming next in this larger plan? What do you expect them to do to try to bring Trump down? Because he can sit there and try to appease them all day. That only encourages them. I mean, he could nuke Russia. They would say he was a Russian agent.
They're going after Iran next. You're going to see Iran happen before North Korea. And they were going to continue to push this. They're going to have, and Israel is behind this. Israel
Will it be an Operation Praying Mantis again? Will they blow up their ships, or what's going to happen?
Well, Israel is probably going to do some attacks. They have already attacked some areas in Syria, and they're going to attack some areas in Lebanon, and they're going to try to get Iran to retaliate in some way. Iran so far isn't taking the bait. But remember, the whole reason why the U.S. started to engage in Syria versus Iran in 2013 is because the Israelis said, we're not attacking Iran on your behalf until you take care of Syria first. That's the whole reason why.
I agree. Who do you think's behind the false flag in Syria?
Well, obviously, it's the deep state advisors of Jaish al-Islam, those that until this Monday or Tuesday were still in power, were ruling over Duma in Syria. They've been pushed out. They were on the verge of losing, and that's why they pulled. No,
I agree. So the Russians right in saying that it was Western-backed rebels that did it?
Well, it's hard to know who exactly did it. I mean, they get these chemical weapons through Turkey or through Saudi Arabia, and they're known to use these in order to blame the thing on Assad. But we think this was clearly, the Army of Islam, Jaish al-Islam, who did this, who occupied Duma, and they had over 300 hostages of men and women and children from other surrounding areas. In
sure, that's exactly who they'd hit, yeah.
And I think that's who they killed. I think a lot of those were suffocated. Some 40 died in a suffocated room. I think they brought those out and falsified those as part of the dead for this chemical attack. They did explode some chemical weapons.
Let me ask that question to you, because you're a real theologian. What is wrong with Islam? Why is it so satanic? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I watch these videos that nobody else has seen, or at least people have it online, haven't I see it, where they are killing Africans and making them eat meat of dead people so they go to hell. And they're all so crazed and satanic. I mean, what is going on in the minds of these people? Well, where do you see the globalists, the Western governments, the EU's alliance with Islam to repopulate Europe? What is the plan there? Why is the left so in love with Islam?
Well, it's because it's a supremely manipulable religion. People are not really schooled in a doctrine of strong morality with very, very strict, there's a lot of promises in Islam. There's a lot of slippery doctrine. There's a lot of interpretation of the Quran, which gets into jihad. And you have a lot of people who are uneducated in Islam, especially young males, full of testosterone. You don't have the same moral restraints that you do in strict Christianity. And so it's very easy for terrorist-type manipulation to occur to the young people, and that's exactly what's happening. It isn't that Islam doesn't have its good side, and people who concentrate only on it can become moral, but it isn't because of strict moral codes in there. It's more the type of teacher that you get, and you get in the wrong type of teacher, you get in the wrong type of...
well, sure, there's like in my view, there's like a satanic interpretation where they get everybody hyped up and they go crazy.
Well, that's right. It's just like even in Christianity, you get the soft version of Christianity now. Christ is only soft. There's no justice. There's no revenge. There's no anger. There's no fury in the Christ. You just won't find that in Christianity.
Well, let's close out with that. I'm going to let you go, and I appreciate you've been on with for over an hour. People that just tuned in on the streams, Trump has hit 7 separate targets. Undoubtedly, there's Russians dead. There's Syrians dead. This is just, if you know who's behind the war, it's horrible. We're on the wrong side of this. It's a terrible thing. But Joel Skousen of worldaffairsbrief.com, getting into the satanic nature of this, and I've been a Christian my whole life, and I believe in God, and I've had spiritual experiences. But, man, the last 5 years, being around leftists on the street and how they act and like they're demon-possessed and the stuff they do, this is not an act with these people. They are crazed. from your research, this whole world government, the Antichrist, all of this, what is your timetable from your research there, just for me and my family? Because I'm going to be on air and I'm going to do what I do. But, you know, at a certain point, I'm not just trying to be here on air or whatever. At a certain point, this is getting so crazy that I don't even know if I can do any good. I'm not arrogant enough to think I can actually fix this. And I'm getting so freaked out that I just want to go get on my knees and pray to God all day. I mean, I'm not saying to be goody two-shoes. I'm saying as a man, I have gotten so freaked out by what's going on and the pure evil that's happening that I just feel like it's above my pay grade. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, but I've stopped long ago, Alex, thinking that I could save the world for this. And that isn't my objective. I'm trying to reach the true sheep, if you will. I'm trying to reach those that sense that something's wrong. I'm trying to reach those that have a heightened level of conscience that tells them that they can't trust what's out there, and they're looking for facts. This week's World Affairs Brief, for example, has all of the details about how this is a false flag. I document it time and again on there. Your listeners can get a free sample copy of that by emailing me at editor@worldaffairsbrief.com, and I'll send everyone a free copy of this week's World Affairs Brief.
And it really is. It really, I'm not just saying, you really have great understanding.
But what I'm saying is that you mustn't lose hope. I mustn't lose hope, because we are reaching a great many people. And I get letters, I know you get letters from people who thank you for being there and for having the courage to tell the truth. Without us, they'll start to be snowballed into this great thing. And so we've got to not only get them to have a heightened understanding of the dark forces that are managing our government, but also how to prepare. I think in a timetable, we're still looking at the early part of the next decade to the middle of the next decade, when Russia and China will be ready to strike the West.
No, I mean, I agree with you. You can historically see it. You can physically feel it. All hell is going to break loose in the next 10 years. And I just sit there as a father of 4 children, and I'm trying to talk myself out of the equations and the public I see, because I'm not on some power trip like I'm some Mr. Cool guy. I see the public. They don't even know what's going on, and it's such a dangerous countdown. And we don't celebrate the fact that we go, oh, look, Trump's being bad now. Oh, my gosh. We wish Trump would have been good, and we know he's under attack, and he's not our enemy. It's just this rollover on Syria. Joel, don't you agree? It really shows that fundamentally he's been compromised.
Yes, and it's really an intellectual and spiritual compromise. He'll come back and realize and have doubts about what he did, but he'll just keep being ruled one direction or another. And that's why we have to provide the steady track for our listeners. We have to provide the steady answer that doesn't roll with the punches, that stays steady and stays true to the facts. And I think, you know, Alex, you've got a tremendous mission that's got to be continued, because people are going to depend on us to know when this war is really coming, not to get carried away by the hype of what may be.
Well, let me ask you that question, because I'm far from perfect. Why do you think, you see it in the news, but behind the scenes, they are really after us? They think we've got something that'll bring them down. Is it just that we're free and open discussion? I mean, they are foaming at the mouth to get us. It is on the street, politically, economically, legal. They are. What is it? Because I want your perspective, because I want to know, what is it is the potential of InfoWars? What is it they're so scared of?
Well, it is the potential of the infective nature of truth. I mean, when you saw, if you would go back and review Laura Ingram's show and see how Sebastian Gorka, who's normally, you know, energetic but mild-mannered, just turned into a raving counterattack dog at the very...
Oh, it's funny you say that. I've seen him putting out hundreds of photos with him with guns, and it was all, like, months ago, really synthetic. And now he's a patriot, and it was all real. Like, these sociopaths don't get what looks fake. And I was like, what's... And then Gorka was attacking me. He was attacking others. And it's funny you bring up Gorka. I agree. I was even trying to follow him, but I saw the syntheticness of how he wants to be our leader.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Sean Hannity. You know, he seems very, very conservative when he's talking about defending Trump, but boy, you start to bring up the spirit of conspiracy or even any facts that hint to that, and he turns into a raving attack dog too. And this shows you that there's a real evil there, and those that are pretending to be conservative in a certain way, but in their hearts, they really want to be part of the establishment.
I respect your knowledge. You're a wise man, Joel Skousen, because he does a lot of good, but they've got rid of other people. I respect you. You think Hannity, does he know what he's doing, or is he deceived, or what are you saying going on with Hannity?
He knows what he's doing. He knows that he hates conspiracy. And anybody who hates conspiracy, real truth in conspiracy, is not on our side. The same way Bill O'Reilly was the same way. He would come out viciously against anyone.
No, I remember Ron Paul said, we're going to have a money bomb. And I remember Hannity and Beck was on CNN. He goes, it's a bomb. They're going to blow you up. Like, people didn't know back then what a money bomb was as a fundraiser. And I don't want to put them down. I want to believe in Hannity. Gosh, I hope Hannity's a good guy. I know Bill O'Reilly's a bad guy. The
truth is, though, that if a person is really honest, he won't shut down any truth about conspiracy, even if it's, especially if it comes from a reasonable voice. He won't shut it down. He'll say, well, you know, I've never quite thought about it. I don't necessarily agree. I'm sure that that's how Tucker Carlson would address it. I know that if I got on his show and said some controversial things, he would not shut me down. He would not turn into an attack dog. And that shows a person is sincere.
Well, I don't want to get Tucker Carlson in trouble, but like 10 years ago, he said some bad stuff about me. And then he was coming to Austin, and he wanted to meet. And then I met with him, and he was like, oh, I didn't know, you know, I appreciate you. And we had dinner a few times at the RNC and other places. But Tucker, his dad was the head of Voice of America. He's like an anti-communist. He's a patriot. And Tucker basically, I don't want to get him in trouble. This is no secret. But Tucker is getting away with as much as he can on air.
Yeah, he's really pushing the envelope, Alex. And but as I say, I can read him as being very, very careful. He knows very, very well that he can't make definitive statements like I do. And I'm glad I'm free to make those statements, so you're free to make those statements. But I'll tell you, he wouldn't pay a price. They'd have a boycott so big of advertisers against him, and you may yet see that. But I have to applaud his courage while we can.
All right, Joel Skousen, worldaffairsbrief.com. Thank you for the time. I want to thank the crew for coming in. I'm going to finish up with Owen Schroyer. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure.
You bet. Owen, you've been a really good guy over there sitting there while I was ranting and raving. I mean, this, I don't want, you know me, I'm not the guy that jumps on the bandwagon to go after Trump, but we know the history of Syria. We know Al-Qaeda and ISIS launched the war. We know Obama did. We know Hillary did. We know Russia went in and kicked ISIS out. Our military killed like 10% of them. Our own military, though, was with the Russians to do that under Obama. But then with Trump, they relaunched the whole lie. I mean, I have to stay true to myself. I can't lie to people. I don't want to be a drama person, a drama queen. But I mean, can we pull it up for people, maybe on TV, for TV viewers? I mean, how many strikes were there tonight? How many bases did they blow up of people fighting the Saudi Arabian hordes?
I think it's still going on right now, actually. They're televising it live like it's some sort of theme show. Saturday strikes. You know, it's trendy now. But, Alex, we made our decision about this. They sold
Trump on, this will get Stormy Daniels out of the news. Bull crap. It's going to get worse now. You watch.
And, yeah.
Now they think they got him by the huevos, man.
Watch. They'll try to impeach him for striking without congressional approval, and they'll try to impeach him for Russian collusion at the same time while he's striking Russian bases. You know, Alex, I have no footing right now as far as the overall picture. I don't think I'll be able to have footing for another 72 hours or so. I'm not sure if Trump is possible to save at this point. If it is possible, the only thing I could think that would get his attention if everybody started burning their Trump apparel and putting it on social media, maybe that might get his attention. But while they launch all these strikes in Syria, you notice how there's no real talk of regime change or removing Assad from power. That just shows you how superficial the whole thing is, how driven by the military-industrial and Wall Street this really is, how much it is for show. I mean, look at this. They got, pull up Fox News, guys. I mean, this is like a movie for Fox News right now. Oh, let's show
our bombers. Let's bomb those Syrians. They fought ISIS. F them.
We're going to go to war.
No, dude. Remember, we're not ISIS's Air Force.
So, I mean, I expect something, I don't know. I think something big happens before the end of before the end of April here. And
no, I agree, but here's
everything.
the deal. We don't tell you what to say before you go on air. You're on the same page as me. Trump's done so much good, and I'm still going to back him on most stuff. But on this, I've got to say, it's a disaster.
Alex, we made our decision on this Monday when we decided to do the Stop the World War III broadcast for 34 hours. We said we're not striking Syria. We're not going to get behind that.
Syria isn't al-Qaeda. Syria didn't get invaded. They got invaded.
So they
didn't do anything. This is horse manure, man.
So we just stay by our word. But you know what, Alex? You were asking a question. You asked it of Zach. You asked it of Joel. And I actually don't think that anybody's been able to answer it. But I think I have the answer. Why they hate you so much? Why they hate us so much? Why they're ramping up their attack? The difference between what happened in 2016 and what you'd been doing your entire career is that you got Trump in office. InfoWars was the first group, news organization, listening base, whatever you want to say.
Well, our audience was Trump. The core. Yeah, not us.
Everyone else, 17 different Republican
they were all
candidates,
scared to do it.
And we went with Trump, and that's who won. That's what they're afraid of. Now, they got Trump, and they got Trump to roll over to the military-industrial complex. We'll see if he sells out the economy to Chinese.
But they're worried about the next wave.
Exactly. And that's why they have to continue to bring you down. And you know, while we're sitting here and we're upset and we're depressed and we feel like we had the rug pulled out from under us, if we let them defeat us spiritually, then they have defeated us.
No, I agree. The globalists are way behind. It's a big victory.
And that's why they hate
it's
you
just
too.
We just want to think.
If it would have been Hillary, they would have started this war a year and a half ago. You put them a year and a half behind, and they still take more time with Trump in office than it would with Hillary. But that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of the fact that your audience has reached such critical mass that you can now get a president in office, and they're afraid to death of who might come along after Trump. Trump, well, okay, maybe he's easily blackmailable. They got X, Y, Z, whatever pictures, financial records. They had to break all the laws to get it, but they did it. But there might be someone else who they can't get that on. There might be someone else who's not going to roll over to the military-industrial complex. Maybe there's someone else that doesn't have a big family and a bunch of property that they can destroy and bring down.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's not like it's some pissing contest or I'm Mr. Badass. I just can't roll over to these people. I'm not doing it.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, look.
I'm not. I mean, I'll be honest. I wanted Trump to be right there with us. I'm not rolling. Who knows what they showed him? Like you heard Zach. They probably showed him.
Well, he's blackmailed, probably too.
Well, they showed him footage of people in Syrian uniforms going, look, Syrian uniform, chemical. You know, I mean.
But then okay, so then it comes back to the military-industrial complex, removes everyone like Michael Flynn and everyone else in Trump's administration so that they can bring in all the military-industrial complex people to pull that over his head and get away with it. So I don't know. I mean, you know, Trump made mistakes probably bringing in some of these people, and then they lied to him and they deceived him. And so now he's pretty much, you know, held hostage, isolated, whatever you want to say.
Mr. President, just act strong and you'll be left alone. And that's always the quicksand. And then it just never ends.
But now the world is going to look at America again tonight and say, you're warmongers, you're expansionists, you're colonialists. And then now the left is going to say, this is why the world hates us.
Syria just lost, conservatively, 800,000 people fighting a full-bore Saudi Arabian Wahhabist jihadi attack. And we're crapping all over that. You cannot take away from that. And that's just me. I'm not siding with the jihadis. Trump sides with the jihadis, he can go right to hell. And I will come out like a war machine against Trump. And the sick part is, I don't want the sycophantic Comedy Central CNN support, because it won't even be real support. I don't want that. I don't want to attack Trump because they're their enemy. They saw the potential in Trump, so they tried to destroy him and bully him into this BS. And that's why it's a paradox why I get so mad. I don't even know what to do. Well,
it's just right now the rug's been pulled out from under us. Like I said, I mean, I have no footing right now. I don't know how to cover news for the next 72 hours. And I look at a situation like this, and it's like, okay, so look at just everything that's happened in the last week. So you get Bolton in, immediately you get chemical false flag in Syria. That's not a coincidence. You have Robert Mueller send the FBI into Michael Cohen's office, hotel, and house that's being renovated. And then the next day, Trump rolls over on Syria after for years saying not to go into Syria, for years saying it's a bad idea, and then just a few days before saying it's not going to happen, then it happens. We're telling you this is how this stuff goes down. We're telling you the series of events that leads to this because we don't think you're too dumb to handle it. We don't think that you need to stay asleep so that the military-industrial complex can bomb whoever the hell they want all over the world and then bring it back home where Fox News rolls it out on television like it's some sort of happy movie or a TV show, people dying in Syria. Syria never attacked us. Assad gassed his own people, they say. Why? What happened to common sense in America where you just asked why? We don't even ask why anymore. They don't even have to give us a reason anymore as to why events happen. Hey, did you hear Assad chemically gassed his own people? Oh, really? Well, how do you know that? What did you see? Did they show you the video, the evidence? Well, they had it on all the television news, so obviously it's real. They'd never lie to me. Oh, except they lied about the Gulf of Tonkin. Oh, except they lied about weapons of mass destruction. Oh, except they get caught lying about everything. They lied about the assassination of JFK. I'm not sure what happens. I think Russia responds. I don't see how they don't respond. Trump says we're going to fire missiles into Syria. He fires missiles into Syria. Russia says if you fire missiles, we're going to respond. You don't think they're going to respond? I think they're going to respond. And I had people telling me that we were fear-mongering because we did a 34-hour live broadcast that concluded at 6 p.m. today. We come right back on air at 9 when we hear about this. You guys are fear-mongering. Oh, stop World War III. Yeah, okay. Well, now here we go. Okay, so are we still fear-mongering? Or let me guess. Because you see the images on TV of bombings in Syria and attacks on Syria, but because it's on TV, you're in a trance, and so it doesn't feel real to you. Your soul has been sucked out of your body by the television and the screen so that you don't even feel the humans that are dying from these attacks. You see it on TV and you're so desensitized.
Oh, no, I've talked to liquor store owners and pizza places. They say they get record orders. Here's the thing. We know the history of this. The globalists launched the Arab Spring. Hillary launched it. Google launched it. It was on the news. They took over more than 7 countries. They did this. Syria fought back. Syria wasn't attacking anybody. Benghazi weapons out of Libya were sent up there. And now Russia works with our own military to defeat ISIS. They did 90% of the work. Our own Pentagon says they did 10%. Hundreds of U.S. Special Forces died doing this. And now the Russians are pulling out, and McCain and the deep state go, prove you're anti-Russia, Trump. Blow them up and screw them over. And they show Trump something, and he does it. That shows a failure of leadership. And so these moron leftists go, you're being paid by Trump, or what? I stood with Trump because he was killing TPP and bringing the economy back and doing a lot of good stuff. And I still support that. But this is such a fundamental failure. I stood with Trump on fundamentals, unlike you fake leftists. That's what I'm saying is it's pathetic.
And those
and the left, though, they love this. Oh, God, Syria. They all watch White Helmets, you know, on Netflix, and they sit there and they pull on their little dinky winkies and they feel big.
And Assad is the boogeyman, so now they feel strong because we got Assad.
We're liberal. Like,
we're strong. We got Gaddafi. I came, he saw, he died. And then that's Hillary Clinton. It'll be the same thing if they take out Assad. I mean, who knows if they'll go to that level. You know, watch the stock market for Raytheon and Lockheed.
By the way, Assad is an eye doctor who grew up till he was 30 years old in England. His dad was a dictator.
He walks around the town, and he doesn't even have armed guards half the time.
Assad.
He's gassing these people, and they don't even want to kill him.
What happened 10 years ago? Gaddafi invested $8 billion in the West. Sarkozy stole the money. He's now been indicted for it. These Muslims, these secular Muslims, they want to be with the West. So that's the thing, is they're not the radical Muslims, but they're seen as weak by the West. Just like Russia has problems in this big border, it's seen as weak. No, it's their own country. They've got their own resources. Go in and mine the resources, build hotels. That's how you take over Russia. You move in, I mean, I don't want to be technical, but you get their women, you get the cult, you go merge with them. That's what humans do. That's not war. That's merger. That's sex. You don't sit there and blow them up because all these neocon globalists have 1-inch weenies and they want to do that so they feel big that we beat Russia. That's horse manure. And the very same globalists bring in radical Islam and collapse Europe and then have them doing all this crap. That's all you need to know. The globalists are allied with radical Islam. They're allied with globalism. They are scum. They are the enemy. And Russia has a survival mechanism, just like Hungary, just like the Czech Republic.
Poland.
Just like everybody else. And why? Poland was invaded hundreds of times by Muslims. They were invaded by the Nazis. They were invaded by everybody. So they have an instinct. The West has had it good for so long. You know, we haven't had wars with an empire since 1776. They just don't get that 400,000 people died in our Revolutionary War, so we would have this country. They don't get it, Owen. They have no conception that 20 million Russians died, killing 22 million Germans. And then the average, globalist says, oh, Jones, how dare you say the Russians won World War II. I've read the history books, our own history books. We lost 700,000 people. Both my grandfathers got blown up in airplanes. One crash landed. All the others, they barely lived. I get we were in the war. But we didn't lose 1 million people. The Russians lost 20 million. The Germans lost 22 million. That was a real war. And now we're right back there again. This is BS.
The average individual does not understand the incredible point of human history that we're in right now, Alex. And so everything kind of feels the same way. That's why they can watch it on
they've
Fox
had it,
News.
exactly. Because they never got their ass kicked. They never didn't have their bills go through. Everybody's so candy ass. They go, oh, big deal if we blow up some Russians at their air bases. They just beat ISIS. F them. And it's not kissing the Russians' ass. It's kissing the truth's ass. And I'm sick of this crap. And I'm done with Trump. That's it. And they're going to still sue me and attack me. I'm not doing it so the left to stop attacking me. They're going to keep attacking us. I'm an Americana. I want free market. But I am not going to sit there. I'll support him on good stuff, but this is a deal breaker.
Humanity is in a point of evolution right now where AI is slowly growing and becoming more prevalent.
Oh, the globalists have announced it's the end of humanity. Really? If we roll over, then we deserve it. I ain't dead.
Well, but that's the point is they think everyone's dead. And so you're not going to care about the future right now being controlled by AI. You're not going to care about the future of one world government, the future of going to the stars.
I'm against AI supplanting us. I want Russians to be successful. I want them to have children. I want America. I want everybody to be exactly. I want humanity. I'm a fan of humanity. And this crap in Syria is the opposite of that, Owen.
So they have to keep people dumb. They have to keep people docile. They have to lie to them. They have to flash
How dare
images in front of their face.
And Assad and the poor Syrians fight for 6 years and lose hundreds of thousands of people and defeat a Saudi Arabian invasion. God.
They want Russia to strike.
They're horrible people. I agree. I think Trump's right. We should just turn it over to Al-Qaeda. Like he said, Hillary founded ISIS. And I agree. Trump, shut up. Oh, you're wrong. I agree with Trump now. I think we should turn Syria over to ISIS and F you.
President Barack Trump?
Well, I mean, like Trump said, Hillary and Obama created ISIS. Well, but Trump. It's
Barack Trump.
Trump uses them like a prophylactic. He just shoves ISIS up his big, dirty asshole. All right, I'm sorry. We got to apologize to TV stations. I just cannot. This is such a big, nasty thing. I don't know how I go back on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We just don't have
And it's not like we're just doing this to be popular. I don't give a frickin'... I cannot handle this, Owen. I'm ready to kick somebody's ass, man. This is bullshit. All right, delay that right now. I should probably go off here. We should probably go finish up and we'll end this transmission. Midnight's coming up here. I can't be on air anymore.
All right. Well,
I will not be on the side of ISIS and the Saudi Arabia and the globalists. I am tired of this.
Well, how dare you not be a two-faced phony like some of the others in the media, Alex? How dare you?
Well, we're going to keep promoting free market and the Second Amendment and Christianity, and we're just never going to stop, and we're going to stand against radical Islam.
Is the answer, though, to turn, I mean, is that the answer? Do we have to turn on Trump? Do we have to turn our backs on Trump just to try to save Trump at this point? I mean,
no, I agree. I think he takes us for granted, like, you know, dog crap on his shoes.
And I don't blame him. I mean,
and here's the news, Trump. I'm not dog crap on shoes, brother. You are crap on my shoes. You son of a bitch. You will frickin' get it. Get ready. And all Mattis and all those little chicken crap pieces of filth can go to hell. You join radical Islam, F you to hell, you sons of bitches. I swear to God, I'll get your ass.
And we stood there for Trump. We stood up for Trump the entire way. And to feel betrayed like this, you know, you just got to figure out where to go from here. You got to try to reanalyze.
I'm not in some radical Islam cult. And just because Mattis has bigger bags under his eyes than I do doesn't mean I'm going to kiss his big old baboon ass.
Maybe you should shut it down without a delay.
I see that. I see that. And we're on TV. But seriously, it's not about hating Trump. It's about we know what happened. We know radical Islam. We know that the Syrians and the Russians and our own military, hundreds of U.S. troops have died. And then we know the double crossing going on. And just, it's like, I know Trump did the right thing. What did they get on Trump? So I can't like halfway go against Trump now. I can't be a wimp. I'm not a coward. I don't sell out. I stand for what I believe in, Owen.
Well, again.
That's all I got.
And you never changed it.
They've attacked me so much. That's all I got is being real, brother.
This is what we said our response would be on Monday when we were reporting on this.
That's what makes me so sick about the left. God, they are the filth of the earth. They love war. They hate everything. They'll go, oh, look, Alex Jones doesn't like Trump now because of Syria, blah, blah, blah. And in all your trashiness and your love of radical Islam, God, I hope you go to hell. Like I'm mad at Trump and I'm hurt like a woman that just caught their, you know, whatever, cheating on him. But you are the enemy. You are the problem.
And they're going to get what they want, which is a war with Russia. That's what you're going to get. You want to build up Russia as the boogeyman. You want to say, how dare you get a strong relationship with Russia?
I want Jordan Klepper and I want I want all these people. They need to go fight in the front lines.
That's not going to happen. They couldn't even rip a paper bag.
Well, they're so pissed because they had Russia. They can gang rape it so hard for 85 years.
I just don't think Russia's going to take it anymore.
Hollywood folks, they are so pissed that Russia isn't their rape doll. The left wanted the pleasure they had. They would go on honeymoons there and vacations. They'd go to torture dungeons and take an old Russian and kick him in the head. You know, that's what leftists. I mean, I'm serious. The left would go vacation there at KGB centers to torture people.
Is that what Bernie did on his honeymoon?
I don't know about Bernie. Dude, I'm not kidding. It's in books. Bill Clinton, they went there because that's where you could kill a Christian. F these people, man. You want a war, bitch. You freaking got one. That's what I'm telling you, leftists. I'm going to get your ass one way or another, and that's why they don't like us, because they know I'm going to get your ass. And they think I'm a weirdo that I actually care about people. No, I'm not a devil-worshipping big-ass pile of crap. I will get your ass.
I just wish that the left would wake up. I mean, I wish that they could see what's going on here. They used to be the peace side. They used to be the peaceniks. They used to be anti-war. Well, they're silent right now. They were silent all week. We did a 34-hour Stop World War III broadcast. The left did nothing. So they'll get the war they want.
See, they're not even the left. They don't care. They love it. They love it. They love it. They're just. I mean, look, Matthew McConaughey, a.k.a. Rachel Maddow. I mean, it's all about this elitism out there. It's a Satanism of these people.
But see, notice how they will report on Donald Trump's strike on Syria as a distraction from domestic problems, but they never did that for Bill Clinton when he did it.
When he bombed
Serbia?
A Sudanese aspirin factory. The factory mainly made aspirin. And he cruise missiled it when it turned out he was sticking cigar. And here's the thing. The Republicans went after Clinton because they had missile secrets to China. They were involved. So it was like, okay, one intern, that's a compartmentalized deal. But they weren't even going to break that till Drudge broke it. And I'll say it. I mean, it's not like, let's not be hypocrites. How many mainline right-wingers sit there? It's like white supremacists. I was reading statistics. They are the ones that watch the interracial porn. And it's the same thing. These people that are anti-American, they're the people that are like all obsessed with this. So that's the same thing they do over and over and over again, is that they fetishize everything they claim that they're against. You see what I'm saying?
Well, it's a death cult. It's a death cult. It's the same people that will march on the streets for the children and then the next day march on the streets for abortion. I mean, it's a death cult. Why do you think they want to take the guns?
No, exactly. It's like David Hogg, the Lord and Savior, the God Almighty, that we got banned off YouTube for saying he's spreading talking points, which is all admitted. He says, I want to be a mosquito and kill everybody.
Yeah, who was it? Prince Charles or someone said he wished he could come back at his disease.
Well, it was Prince Charles. It was Prince Charles's father, Prince Philip.
You know, that's the craziest thing.
By the way, you know who Prince Philip is, right?
Dracula.
I mean, Prince Philip, like Juncker, he is a Transylvanian royal bloodline. And again, I'm not just saying this is true. Who was the king of, he was going to be the king of Greece and the king of Cyprus. And then he was an SS officer along with his first cousin, who was the founder of the Bilderberg Group. And then they created the whole thing after that. And then it came out, they had the World Wildlife Fund that was a poaching operation. But how better than to poach elephants and lions and hyenas and zebras and everything else than by being the World Wildlife Fund. And actually, he got caught with a ship, Prince Bernhard, shipping an entire ship with billions of dollars. This was back in the 70s. Of every pelt you could imagine into England. And just ivory stacked up to the frickin' rafters. And they used the World Wildlife Fund as the front to actually poach everything. See, when you know that stuff, then you know everything.
That's like abortion. It's the same thing. They say they do the abortion to save the women, and then they sell the baby parts for a Ferrari.
That's just video of that. But take Prince Bernhard. He sat there as the aide-de-camp, the #2 in the British royal family, which is really a German Transylvanian royal family. And he sat there shooting machine guns at British airplanes in World War II. But when they figured out Hitler was going to lose, and Edward VIII, who was the British king, had to abdicate, he was already in Germany, he ran to Spain. Well, then Prince Bernhard ran to Spain, and the last year he flew Spitfires shooting down German aircraft. So he's not just a Nazi. He's in the last year, he flew aircraft for the Nazi. He flew aircraft against the Nazi. And that's what's so crazy about history. You're like, what? This is going on? This is happening? And then Prince Philip and Prince Charles, his son, say they want to have world government and exterminate people. And then you've got Hogg saying that, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. But you see, Owen, because we're informed, that's why we're bad people.
Well, let me tell you this, Alex, in closing here. If the average citizen of the United States can't take a general look, you don't even have to dig that deep, just a general look at the history of what's happened in Syria, the general look at what Trump has said about the intervention in Syria and the Middle East in the past, and then everything that's happened over the last week. If you can't look at that with common sense, logic, and reasoning and understand how the deep state has taken this country over, and you can't even elect a president anymore. You cannot even elect a president anymore in this country with a mandate because the deep state's mandate is always going to overrule it. And if the general population cannot awake to that with everything they've experienced, then they have no hope.
So let me ask you this. We're going to end this live transmission in the next 5 minutes. So everybody's got to go home and have a Saturday night coming up. It's Friday night. What did they get on Trump? He knows all this stuff. That's why he knows that. He's a smart guy. And so these stupid leftists think I'm like getting some Trump paycheck. That's why I supported him. And they're going to go, oh, look, Jones turns against Trump. No, Trump turns against Trump.
No, they'll still say, oh, maybe because they'll find some weird reasoning like, oh, maybe Jones was a Russian agent. Now Trump's bombing. I mean, it doesn't matter because the left.
Exactly. You know, like now that Trump bombs Russians, exactly, Jones is angry because the Russians, they gave birth to him.
This is just to the average leftist out there that hates InfoWars, hates Trump. I don't care. Fine.
They don't care. They just want some narrative. It's like, don't you want truth?
Don't you want a country? Don't you want a future? Don't you want the ability to control your future? They're telling you you don't have it. That's what they're telling you with everything they've done to Trump, with putting Mueller above everything else on planet Earth.
That's right. It's not some satisfaction where we're virtue signaling leftists that, well, we're now against Trump. It's with heavy hearts we're doing it. But you heard Zach, who's got high-level sources. They showed him footage of people dressed up in uniforms, just like the Nazis dressed up as Poles, and shot up a bunch of tied-up Jewish and other people that were in German camps in Operation Himmler at Gleiwitz. That's how World War II started. And that's the word from our intel sources. People are like, oh, the press was goes, oh, you have sources. Oh, I bet you do. Oh. Yeah, my family aren't asswipes like yours. And I don't mean that in a mean, elitist way, but these little leftists, they sit there and go, oh, really? You have sources? Yeah, I got sources. I got sources. When I was a kid, I'm not even going to get into it. It's just, I'm so sick of these people, Owen. And people say, well, why do you care about them? Because they're the lost sheep. I care about the audience that's awake and I love them. But there's something about these people that just don't get it. I mean, I thought it was normal when I was a kid. To have, sit there at the dinner table with the East Germans and whatever was going on, trying to teach them stuff to, like, go back into the East Germany and bring down East Germany. And then I sit there and I hear these people tell me I'm a traitor against America when almost all my family fought in covert operations against the globalists. And I'm so sick of it, man. They want a war. They're going to get one. These leftists and Antifa people, they want a war. They're going to get one, Owen. That's what I'm saying. F you people, man. And Trump, too. You want to start wars with Russia when they fought ISIS, what we should be doing, and they're standing up against that? That's where we should be. Thank God Russia got loose of the globalists.
Well, if the Trump agenda is dead and the Make America Great Again movement with Trump as the beachhead is dead, we have to go back and try to reach out to the dumb, sheeple, brainwashed people and try to revive their souls again, because that's the only hope we have moving forward. Because we just need more souls, more Americans ready and awake in this fight, because the deep state controls the office of the president. Even if they didn't get him in how they wanted him to, they'll blackmail him. They'll send God Mueller into his attorney's house hotel.
Oh, Mueller's the president. I worship him.
I mean, if you look at who has more say, I mean, Mueller pretty much doesn't answer to anyone. So
why don't we just make Mueller president?
Yeah, just put Mueller in president.
Why not call him President Mueller?
Let's put President Mueller in, and then put John Bolton as vice president. They can bomb everybody and then say it was Russia.
It was about like 8 o'clock at night. We got the news that Trump was bombing Syria, and we all just showed up here and did this. So I'm going to end this, but can we put on screen, like Drudge, you'll probably have it, drudgereport.com, InfoWars has it. I know Kit's in there tonight. Can we put bombs away, Russia warns? Let's click on Russia warns. I mean, God, the way they bully Trump about Russia, and then he's going to blow up Russians to prove he's not a Russian. I mean,
I just hope this is the bottom for Trump. I hope this is rock bottom for Trump, and he can only come up from here, but I don't know. It doesn't look good.
See, there wasn't Russia connection. We knew that, Owen. But there was, God knows what, with those casinos and all of it. And so we got a guy in that wanted to build the country up, but I don't think the average trendy deserves it, because the globalists have taken over this country. The average leftist, they just have this instinct to bring America down. They think that's power. They don't get, like, build it up. That's power. So, fine. Comedy Central wins. The leftists win. F America's recovery. Let's be globalist. And let's just give them everything they want.
Let's go to war with Russia.
Fuck, excuse me. Let's just blow the planet up, man. That's you prove you're not with Russia, Owen. If you have your gun to America's head, just pull that trigger to prove you're not a Russian agent.
No, we should all just apologize for being Americans by just dying, just giving it over.
Well, being an American is Russian.
That's true. Let's just, you know, Russia should just nuke the United States because they're the bad guy, probably.
And then we'll prove to Jordan Klepper that we're good people.
And we won't cheer it on, so that'll prove it, right? If we disavow the Russian strike against the U.S., will we still be called Russian agents?
If we dump cyanide in all the water supplies, because everyone's a Russian.
No, you know what, Alex? I think you're right, actually. We should congratulate the left. We should congratulate Comedy Central. Congratulations. You brought Trump down, and now you're going to get World War III. Congratulations. America is going to go back into the
Here's the thing.
cave.
They don't give a... They love it. They actually love it.
So let's give them their praise. Congrats. The stock... I mean, well, maybe Raytheon and Lockheed will go up, but who knows what'll happen. You know, maybe the jobs will go back down into the gutter. Maybe everything will go back down in the gutter, and you'll get what you want. You'll get to World War III, and Russia can bomb us, and you can say Russia's the bad guy.
But
so congratulations. Good for you. Good for you. You won't see the space and stars and all the secrets of the universe. Good for you. Congrats. Good job, Comedy Central. Good job, Stephen Colbert. Good work, guys. Woo! Good job, Stephen Colbert. Great work, Mickey Rourke and Alec Baldwin and all of you frauds.
No, I agree. Trump should nuke Russia or he's an agent. I'm serious. He should launch 10,000 nuclear weapons now. Trump should nuke Russia. Nuke Russia. Nuke Russia.
Say you're sorry for colluding and take him down.
Listen, shut up. If you're not for killing Russians, you're an agent. Say it. I want to kill everyone on Earth, or a Russian.
If I killed everyone on Earth, would I be called a Russian, or would I be proving I'm a Russian?
You have to kill everyone, or you're a Russian.
I can't win. I'll still be a Russian either way.
You just say, murder everyone, I'm liberal.
Let's just abort all the babies for the children.
Just say, murder everyone, I'm liberal.
Murder everyone for the children. Liberal.
All right. It's midnight and 18 minutes. That's it for this transmission. Great job, crew. We'll see you back throughout the weekend at Infowars.com. And I think Trump's great, bombing Syria for no reason and backing ISIS. Well, we should overthrow Syria and just put ISIS in charge. I'm liberal.
All right, go ISIS in Syria. Woo! That's what we voted for. Yep.
I'm serious. Like, why are you against ISIS? I mean, why are you against
It's what Russia told me to say. It's what Russia told me to say.
Well, exactly. Like, blow Russia up. Russia told us. Like, blow Russia up.
Russia.
We're liberal. Blow Russia up.
Yeah.
Is the U.S. involved with any procuring of weapons, transfer of weapons, buying, selling, anyhow transferring weapons to Turkey out of Libya?
To Turkey?
It is a big idea, a new world order.
How is it that this organization is so well-funded, so organized?
Islamic State-linked militants have gained a stronger foothold in Libya, seizing new economically vital areas of the country.
The leader of ISIS in Libya is none other than Abdel Hakim Belhaj, and of course he was armed to the teeth by NATO.
A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
The Russians say they're negotiating with North Korea to hold joint military exercises. Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin teaming up, creating an ominous alliance against the United States.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is aggressively opposing the nuclear deal that the U.S. government is negotiating with Iran.
Saudi Arabia is apparently prepared to allow Israeli jets into its airspace to conduct attacks on Iran.
We have an unprecedented opportunity to build a new world order.
I set up a foundation in Ukraine and pray that an important part in events now.
Ukraine is set to receive the first tranche of an International Monetary Fund aid package.
We had brokered a deal to transition power in Ukraine.
Vladimir Putin is on the move.
Only when this transformation is complete will we be able to take full measure of the opportunities presented by this new and evolving world order.
It's known as the Bilderberg Group. Could their objective be world domination?
Alpha Power, vital male androgen biosynthesis promoter. Now, I've got page after page after page of the science, of the research, and the facts on the ingredients in Alpha Power. But here's what you want to know. You want to go to InfoWarsStore.com and read the hundreds and hundreds of 5-star third-party reviews on this product. And also remember that when it came out 4 months ago, it sold out in 3 weeks. Because people that know about these type of products looked at the ingredients list and looked at the potency list, and people went crazy. We set out to look at the already best-selling brands out there and make it even better, even stronger, and basically souped up. It's got the best of ancient science with the latest developments as well. It's Alpha Power, and quite frankly, I don't even really need to take Alpha Power. If I take Alpha Power, which I do occasionally, if I feel down or don't feel like I have a lot of energy, it makes me have incredible stamina, amazing libido, and also I already have not really anger issues, but I'm a little bit aggressive sometimes. And so Alpha Power is so strong that I personally don't take it a lot. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh man, it's really great, it really works. I'm going to tell you, be careful with Alpha Power, because I said I want to dominate the industry. I want people to know that we put the most money into this of any other product out there. I'm going to explain this because this is critical. The average supplement, you can look this up online, there's industry publications, Wall Street Journal, has a 5 to 7 times markup. That's a 500 to 700% markup. Our average markup is about 130% or so. Some are 90%, some are 150. You got marketing, other costs that go in. But here's an example. The average male or female enhancement over-the-counter supplement has some real stuff in it. It just has a little bit in it. Many times the bottle, this is a nice glass bottle, costs more than the ingredients that these companies put out. Because I work with the top 4 formulators in the country, and they say, listen, no one puts as much as you do into these. They said your leading competitors might put $6, $7 in, and you're putting $15, $20, $30, $40, depending on the product, in them. Nobody else does that. Well, we do, and that's why they're so powerful. Bottom line, you're getting top-of-the-line supplements that people absolutely love, that have blown me away, that fund the info war, and we are industry leaders in quality testing and the amount of the best product that we put into the product that ends up getting delivered to your door. So you get the best supplements at the very, very best price, and you fund the info war that's given the whole world incredible results against the globalists. A 360 win. Again, Alpha Power sold out for months. The second shipment is now in at InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com, or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. A total 360 win. One of the things I'm really proud of is the fact that doing my own research and talking to top scientists, we knew that there was an iodine conspiracy.
Iodine is in every cell of your body.
Iodine deficiency is the commonest preventable cause of brain damage and loss of IQ in the world.
In fact, over 90% of Americans are low in iodine.
Iodine used to be used in bread as a dough enhancer. Then in the early 1970s, most commercial manufacturers switched to bromide instead.
Since 1970, the iodine they collected in urine is 50% less now than it was then.
Research from a World Health Organization study show that 10 to 50% of people worldwide are deficient in iodine.
Most people, I think everybody, for the most part, should be supplementing with iodine.
And I am so proud of the fact that since I've been promoting iodine the last 5, 6 years, it is now all the rage at health food stores, you name it. But none of them are as pure or as clean as the original Survival Shield X2 at InfoWarsLife.com. I was just about to walk out of the studio to go pick my children up, and I got some bad news. For the second time in the 5.5 year history of Survival Shield X2, our flagship product, we are having supply chain problems. And this may be the last batch of this. You see, we have to go through the DEA to get this because it is pure atomic iodine. Everything else out there is bound or it's contaminated. It's not absorbable. It's toxic. We have deep earth crystal source that's so pure that it actually turns into purple gas in the atmosphere. And it's injected into palm oil, organic palm oil, in a proprietary patented process. And so in our own search to get the purest form, we discovered that oil companies and gas drilling companies had a byproduct that they were selling to pharmaceutical companies and also drug makers that they use to make drugs. That's why the FDA is involved, and that's why the DEA is involved. So it's a major industrial product being used, and that we could actually bring it to the public pure. But you've got to get contracts with oil companies and gas companies to do it. And once they figure out there's a market, they start jacking up the price. So we have a run of this, a limited run. We have a good supply right now. We're talking maybe 2 months of it. But this may be the clincher. We may not have X2 in this configuration in the future. But we're offering it still 25% off until it sells out. Hopefully, just like the last time this happened a few years ago, it's not an issue and we do get more. But right now, we are not able to secure the crystals that produce the purest iodine from our own research and the test in the world. Survival Shield X2 at InfoWarsStore.com and InfoWarsLife.com. And you've got to experience what having the good halogen in your body does. Most folks in about 3 weeks go through a detoxification process, but what it does is for stamina, libido, focus, energy is really amazing. And if you don't have true iodine, pure iodine, you will end up having all sorts of disorders, just like water, just like oxygen. Without iodine, it is an essential element. It's available exclusively. Survival Shield X2 at InfoWarsLife.com and InfoWarsStore.com. And I hope, like a few years ago, that we can work this out. It's just right now we're kind of over a barrel, so I want listeners and viewers and everybody to know this stuff has a very, very long shelf life. I personally have stockpiled it, and your purchases fund the operation fighting for free speech, the Second Amendment, national sovereignty, so it is a true 360 win. Again, the term I coined, or what they said before, a non-zero sum game. So get your Survival Shield X2 today, along with other great products, at InfoWarsLife.com, and fund the tip of the spear in the fight for free speech and human dignity worldwide. This could potentially be the end of Survival Shield X2 as we know it. If you love the original like I do and thousands of others have, it's available now for a limited time at InfoWarsStore.com.